I've always told him that my biggest fear is that this would turn into a Woody Allen situation where the stepdaughter or the dad grooms the child and the child then turns 18 and ends up running away with him. I told him, like, that was my biggest fear and I don't ever want that happening. Like, you can't do that to me. Like,
why would you say that to him? So I need you to, I know this is a lot, but Monday morning, I really need you to focus on his actions Monday morning.
Okay.
We've got a whole bunch to discuss, thankfully, with this new Jennifer Soto interview. It's from February 29th, 2024. It was the day after Stefan Stearns, her boyfriend, had been arrested, but the day before, it was a Thursday when they conducted this interview. We're going to listen to today. It's an hour and a half. Feel free to put me on double speed, and especially Jennifer, because of all these pauses. If you want to, of course, listen to it over on my Patreon. Warning, I've put an audio watermark on it, just like I warned everyone before. Plunder, true crime audio. And you can look at the previous video if you want to see why I'm doing that. Thank God for The Docket and Gray Hughes Investigates. The Docket, I'm going to let him tell you, if he wants to, at some point on his channel, everything he had to go through to get this latest round of interviews. But boy, he went through a lot. Thank God it all worked. There's a lot coming, but I'm going to have to kind of go through them one by one. So today I just want to focus on this.
All right, the date is February 29th, 2024. Time is 5:09 p.m. We are at 4012 Santa Maria Drive. In reference to case number 24001809. It's myself, Detective Morris, Detective Smallwood, and Jennifer Soto.
You will hear redacted portions of silence just like normal. We got these interviews. There's 2 of them, but I'm only going to cover the February 29th one in this video. Then we'll go over the next one, hopefully tomorrow. So we got it yesterday, Wednesday, September 11th. And you may have watched some commentary on it already over on the Docket's channel, over on Gray Hughes's channel. Go visit them. I was in the Docket's chat last night and just so many great thoughts. So it's Thursday, February 29th. Let's set the scene. It is 5:09 p.m. It's the day after Stefan has been arrested. Wednesday night, we saw that perp walk and everything. They've arrested him. Cops have found enough evidence on Stefan's phone to arrest him. And Jennifer knows this, so let's contextually figure out what's going on here. Jennifer's going to talk about her PTSD. I'll put a trigger warning right here, because even though it's redacted, we can kind of infer what happened to her when she went on this date. You know, it does make you feel sorry for her a little bit. You know, I want to just look at this with open eyes, objectively. She talks about her lack of desire for Stefan Stearns and why, her fear of him grooming Maddie. Well, at first she says she's fearing Maddie basically falling in love with him, but she stops herself. We'll get to that point. She likens it to the Woody Allen situation. We'll talk about that. And this is the first time we get to hear some emotion, whether it's real or fake. I'll let you be the judge. Jennifer's crying. She's going to be shown evidence, like from the front window evidence. We don't see it, thankfully. Front window evidence of Maddie slumped over in the car on Monday, February 26th, with Stefan Stearns. And Jennifer's going to ask if Maddie's dead. There will be quite a few times I want you to notice that Jennifer will slip into the past tense. Now, this is only Thursday. Now, of course, Maddie's been missing since Monday. The situation doesn't look great. Stefan's been arrested the day before, but they still haven't found Maddie. So it's interesting to see Jennifer kind of give up that hope of Maddie still being alive. Even though she says she hasn't, I'll let you judge. So Maddie would be found the next day, Friday, March 1st. We do have an interview I'll put in the next video, is my plan, of Jennifer's interview Friday, March 1st, where she's being transported to get her car. That's the guise of what she's being transported to do. We will tackle that in the next video.
So, to give you a little bit of what's happening now, there's a few other additional pieces of evidence that we're collecting at the time. Okay.
I went through it again. I just listened double time in iMovie in the bathtub. My hair's still dripping wet. I did not hear Jennifer say the sex stuff is not evil in this interview, and I don't think I've heard it in the next interview. I'll double check just to verify. Oh, and by the way, there are no 911 calls. The docket, he verified, it sounds like, even though this woman was telling him, yeah, there's Jennifer Soto 911 calls, but he's verifying as of yesterday, there are none. So we don't have the 911 calls, but we got these interviews. Obviously, there's some more interviews hiding out there somewhere, because I don't hear Jennifer say sex stuff wasn't evil. I haven't heard that in these two. I'll bet you we have a lot more interviews hopefully coming. I don't know which ones they'll release, which ones they can't. Notably, when the docket and I requested certain surveillance videos, they would not give us those. So again, if you want to hear it, no commentary without me blabbing, go listen to it on my Patreon. I'll link to it below, but you will hear, again, my audio watermark going through. But I'm going to tell you everything being said so you won't miss anything. Okay, so you will hear some detective, I don't know who is myself, the guy who's speaking. There's Detective Morris, there's Detective Smallwood, and Jennifer Soto. This is, again, 5:09 p.m. They're telling her all about, they just want to know, where's Maddie? They want to talk about her sex life. Another warning here, it gets a little graphic. They want to talk about medications. They want to talk about everything that happened Sunday night, Monday night, if Jennifer has any inkling of where Maddie could be.
Some of that evidence came from Stefan's phone.
Okay.
Some of the pictures that were on the phone.
Okay.
That we've identified belonging to Maddie as well. So clothing that she was wearing, that sort of stuff.
Plunder.
That's what we're
True
collecting.
crime
Okay.
audio.
We will leave you an evidence sheet to let you know what we took. Everything that we've taken from the house is in an evidence sheet that's going to be left here for you.
Okay.
Okay. It may take them a little bit, because what they do is they take a picture of it, they collect it, go to the next one, take a picture of it, collect it. So it'll be a little bit, but it shouldn't be too long. Okay, so we spoke yesterday, and we've got a little bit more information since the last time we spoke. Last night, I guess it would be.
True crime audio.
So I'm going to ask you to go through this again. Monday morning, when you were asleep, Stefan and Maddie were upstairs, and she's going to school. Run me through that morning again. How, like, you mentioned something about you hearing noises, and then you woke up. So how exactly did that go down?
Monday morning, I was woken up by Stefan Stearns coming into my bedroom to try to put the leash on the dog. He was saying, "Here, puppy, let's go," and trying to leash him up. I got up off the bed at that moment because my dog has a tendency to pee a little bit when you're too direct and you put a leash on him. Mm-hmm. You have to, like, talk to him nicely and yeah. He got the leash on the dog and told me, "Okay, don't worry about it, just go back to sleep." And I said, okay. So I went back to sleep.
Plunder. True crime
think this was
audio.
around, I'm assuming this was around 8 o'clock in the morning, because I'm assuming, he's getting ready to take her to school. He's walking the dog before he does that. Yeah. So I'm not sure what time it was, but I think it was around 8 o'clock in the morning when this happened.
Okay.
I thought I had heard somebody in the kitchen. I don't know who it could be. But yeah, I just heard sounds, but I'm not sure who it was. Who was in the kitchen? Could have been Stefan, could have been Maddie.
Okay.
Could have been one of my roommates.
When the deputies first talked to you, when you were reporting her missing,
Yeah.
you remember writing a statement?
Yes.
Okay. In that statement, you say you saw Maddie.
I saw. I know. I misremembered. I didn't see her.
They're telling her they're collecting more evidence. More evidence that came from Stefan's phone. Some pictures on the phone. You know, they've identified in the pictures some of the clothing or whatever in the background. They want to see it belongs to Maddie, so they want to get back in there. And they're giving her an evidence sheet and everything. They're like, look, this is what we're taking. Now, I'm saying keep in mind, these photos on Stefan Stearns' phone were horrendous and horrible. And the videos, we don't know exactly what Jennifer knows at this point, but the detectives are going to call her out for her differing responses. When she breaks down in tears, he's comparing it to violently crying. That's what he called it. The detective called it violently crying. Jennifer cried violently, apparently, maybe when she was shown the abuse photos. It's redacted, it's hard to hear, you have to kind of figure it out. That made Jennifer cry violently. But when it came to, oh, these photos of your daughter in this car, and Jennifer's kind of like, is she dead? The detective is kind of like, okay, your reactions are way different here, that's weird. Anyway, they're going over the Monday morning events again. When you were asleep, Stefan and Maddie were upstairs, you know, they're talking to Jennifer, she's going to school. Run me through that morning again, they want to know. You mentioned something about hearing noises, then you woke up. So Jennifer starts off, Monday morning, I was woken up by Stefan Stearns. She uses his full name, almost as if she's starting to try to distance herself from him. So Stefan is trying to put the leash on the dog. He's saying, just go back to sleep. Jennifer's assuming this was around 8 a.m. So she's saying, I'm not sure who it was. I assumed it was around 8 a.m. because I'm assuming he was getting Maddie ready. And they called her on her written statement here. They are like, do you remember writing a statement? In that statement, you said you saw Maddie. And Jennifer goes, yes, I said I saw Maddie. I misremembered, she says.
Okay.
I wanted to believe I saw her, but I didn't.
But when you're talking to the deputy on his body cam, you describe what she's wearing.
Because she had picked it out the night before.
Okay.
But the detective says when you were talking to that cop on body cam, you described what Maddie was wearing, you know, like when she said black shorts, you know. And Jennifer says that's because she had picked it out the night before. And I thought, okay, that could be true. Again, I'm giving Jennifer the benefit of the doubt. I'm trying to say what looks true, what looks false. Part of me was like, yeah, that's probably why she said that. Maybe she knew what Maddie was going to wear the next day. That's why perhaps she was telling the detective, oh yeah, Maddie's wearing black shorts, green sweatshirt or whatever. But I was thinking, remember in a different interview we just listened to, Jennifer admitted she literally did not see Maddie, you know, take out any clothes. Like she didn't see her set out a green hoodie and black shorts like in her little makeshift living room, bedroom, like this is what I'm going to wear tomorrow. So it's not still clear how Jennifer knew what Maddie supposedly was supposed to have been wearing that Monday.
I told her to set up her clothes the night before to have it ready, so she was ready to go.
Did you do a interview with Fox 35 recently?
Yes.
Okay. In that interview, you say something to the effect that you don't want her to come home. Do you remember that?
No. Why would I say that?
I don't know. That's part of the interview.
Maybe
I don't know if you listened to it or if you saw it.
I haven't seen anything.
Okay. Maybe when we're done with this, you can Google it and see if you misspoke or.
I must have misspoken because that's I remember asking her to come home. Please come home. We miss you. I want you here. Like, please be safe. I remember saying that.
Jennifer does admit she did not see Maddie Monday morning. So they reference her interview with Fox 35, and the detective, he heard something a lot of people thought they heard. They're like, did you say something to the effect that you don't want Maddie to come home? And Jennifer's like, no, why would I say that? So again, I've seen other people do this. They mix up the part where Jennifer says, I don't want her to come home harmed. That harmed part kind of fell by the wayside, or Jennifer has a way of speaking her cadence, which can be a little confusing to some people, so that's why I like to really listen. So he's like, if you go back and listen to it, when we're done with this interview, you can see if you misspoke.
Okay. All right. I want to touch a little bit more, go more in depth on the relationship that you have with Stefan. Now, you said you guys have been dating for a while, and then you kind of broke up, and it's been on and off for a few years, I guess you'd say, right?
Yeah.
During that time, was he seeing anybody else?
I was told at one point sometime last year that, hey, the girl I was hanging out with, one of my coworkers I was hanging out with outside of work, who I said I was hanging out with, I was really having sex with her. Because I asked him, I'm like, did you have sex with her? Like, because you told me you were just hanging out.
Plunder,
did you have sex with her?
True crime
and he admitted
audio.
that he did. I think her name is Marielle, but I'm not sure what her last name would be.
Okay.
So that's when they go more in depth with the relationship Jennifer has with Stefan and said, you know, you guys have been dating for a while. You kind of broke up. It's been on and off. Has he been seeing anyone else? Jennifer takes a long pause and she says, I was told at one time, hey, one of the girls at work I told you I was hanging out with, I was really having sex with her. So once again, Jennifer is putting herself, she does this quite a few times. She jumps into the body of Stefan and starts speaking in the first person as if she's him. It's just weird to me the way she talks. I don't know why she does that. Instead of just saying simply, oh yeah, Stefan told me one time, he admitted. At first he said he was just friends with this girl, they were hanging out, and then later he admitted he was sleeping with her. It's just weird the way she talks. I know people who have spoken that way and it trips me out. Jennifer says, I was told at one time. When people start talking that way, it's shady to me. Like I know someone who said, the statement was made, you know, she blah, 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 blah. And I'm just thinking, why can't you just say, Billy said this woman did that? You know, it's just really weird when people start speaking that way to me. Jennifer says, because I asked him, did you have sex with her? You told me that the two of you were just hanging out, and he admitted that he did. So it's like Jennifer can confront Stefan about messing around with this other woman, but did she ever have the boldness to confront Stefan about him doing anything weird with Maddie? Jennifer gives her name. This woman's name is in police reports. You know, she's done the right thing. She's come forward to cops. Jennifer says she doesn't know this woman's last name. Now, I know her name, her full name. I'm not going to say it. I mentioned that woman's first name in a previous video. I'm not going to mention it now because I believe it was the woman or whomever who put a privacy violation against the video I mentioned her first name in. Thank God YouTube left it up. But that woman, she will have to get used to attention. I mean, she didn't do anything wrong. I know some people think, of course, she should have said more about what Stefan told her, but she came forward and she ultimately told police what Stefan said to her. So to me, she did what she could. Maybe that's why this woman is trying to put the kibosh on certain things. But my point is, she will have to get used to mainstream media attention, a lot of attention, almost like, in a way, I'll just say Amber Fry or someone like that. They'll be under the white hot spotlight, but, you know, they'll be a witness for the prosecution and end up doing a good job.
Now, the relationship that you had with Stefan, you told me that you haven't had sex in a while.
Yeah.
When you guys were together and intimate with each other, it is maybe a little uncomfortable, but it's something that we have to discuss, is when you guys were intimate with each other, a lot of people call it vanilla sex. Some people call it, you know, whatever kind of sex you want to call it. How would you describe you and Stefan when you guys were intimate?
Pretty vanilla. I would say just missionary and oral. But nothing more than that. Missionary.
Okay. Has he ever asked you to perform a certain
Plunder,
way?
True crime audio.
Anything that you think would be out of the ordinary?
He's, I want to say he's joked around about wanting anal sex. And like, yeah, we should do that. We should try that. And I'm like, absolutely not. No. To me, his penis is average size but thick and it hurts. So I don't want even normal sex hurt to me, so I just didn't want to do it anymore, honestly.
Okay. Nothing other than that you think would be out of the ordinary?
No.
Okay.
The detective is pressing into their sex life. He's like, look, you guys hadn't had sex in a while, you know, a pretty vanilla sex life. Jennifer parrots what the detective says, perhaps instead of telling him the truth. So, I don't know, different interviews have claimed Stefan and Jennifer were these wild people, but she's saying they had vanilla sex, basically missionary position, some oral. You know, it's something uncomfortable they're talking about, but they have to talk about it. Anything beyond that stuff, anything out of the ordinary. And she said said, he's joked around about wanting anal sex, and she's like, absolutely no. Jennifer's like, absolutely no. It's weird. Jennifer says, to me, his penis is average size, but thick, and it hurts, so I don't want to even normal sex hurts to me, Jennifer says. So I just don't want to do it anymore, honestly. Something when I listened to it like the second time, the fact she says, to me, like his junk size is whatever kind of thick. And I was like, that's interesting. Maybe she's just saying from my perspective, but who else's perspective is she comparing it to? Maybe just other general women. I don't know. But I hate it hearing that. And even the other woman, like anyone who talks about a rough time they've had with him that way, or pain or anything like that. I mean, and that's like grown women saying it. So I shudder to think of what the assault was like. That's the part where it's just so troubling. So nothing out of the ordinary. They start moving on to medications.
All right, so he is on medication. You told me he's on medication for insomnia. Can you say that right? Sleep apnea.
Yeah.
And then I believe you said ADHD.
Yeah, and also anxiety meds, I think.
Anxiety, okay. Anything else that you can think of?
He did have, I think,
Plunder,
a
true
vial
crime
of
audio.
I'm not sure if it was Viagra or Cialis, but one or the other. I know he was having a hard time getting an erection or being able to enjoy getting off. And he ended up figuring out we couldn't figure out. He went to the doctors, tried to figure out why he was having these issues. They told him it must be something mental because physically his body spine should be acting normal.
Okay.
But we found out it was a side effect due to the Adderall medication he was on, that he was not able to enjoy himself sexually once he got off Adderall for a while and was able to enjoy himself again. I think there was no need for the Cialis or anything like that.
Okay. Would he ever talk to you about what kind of porn he liked watching or anything like that?
No.
Okay. Have you ever, quote unquote, watched porn with him or anything like that?
No.
Okay.
What medications did Stefan take? He had insomnia, I don't know, sleep apnea, maybe, anxiety, and then ADHD. He did have a vial of Viagra or Cialis, Jennifer says, one or the other, because he was having a hard time getting excited or being able to enjoy getting off, she said. He ended up figuring it out when he went to the doctor. They were saying, nothing's wrong with you, it must be mental. And I was like, yeah, maybe it's just some guilt coming through from what you're doing. But they figured out it was a side effect due to Adderall. So once he got off that, he was able to enjoy himself again. There was no need for Cialis or things like that. Did he talk about the type of pornography he liked to watch or anything like that? Jennifer's like, no. Have you ever watched it with him? She's like, no. Some of these things, I'm like, well, that might not be believable. Like if he's this wild, freaky guy, what was he watching? He was all on the, different FetLife sites, and I don't know what Jennifer was on, but I mean, it is possible for him to have kept all that hidden from her. But then part of me is like, well, did he really keep it hidden from her, or is she just not saying?
All right, now Maddie, what medication did she take?
She was on hydroxyzine, which is a sleeping medication and anxiety medication. So that because she suffers from really bad GI issues. She's constantly constipated. What else? She had an asthma inhaler. She had an asthma inhaler.
Plunder, true crime audio.
You can't think of any other meds she was on.
Does she take that medicine to school with her?
The asthma medication, yes. The asthma medication, yes. The Adderall, I give to her before she goes to school. And the anxiety meds, we give it to her when she's at home.
How does she react to this medicine?
Normal.
Like, how does her body react?
Fine.
Okay.
No side effects, nothing weird.
Okay. And she takes it in the morning or at night?
Adderall she'll take in the morning. Hydroxyzine, the sleeping meds, or the anxiety meds, either or. Probably in the afternoon or evening time close to bed. We use it mostly for sleep aid. That would be given to her at night. The asthma medication was used, and the GI medication was given.
So all right now, it's redacted. So they're talking about Maddie, and they talk about hydroxyzine, a sleeping medication, and the anxiety medication, I guess all combined. They must have redacted the Miralax part here because they talk about, Maddie suffering from really bad GI issues. Maddie's constantly constipated. So it's been redacted. Now this is where Jennifer gets upset. She's talking about Maddie's asthma inhaler. Jennifer says this twice. She had an asthma inhaler. She had an asthma inhaler. It's in the past tense. You can hear her voice breaking. She sounds upset. And I'm wondering, is it because the asthma inhaler reminded her of Maddie's ability to breathe? And does she know that Maddie was strangled? She had a lack of oxygen and couldn't breathe. And remember, in one of those interviews, the first thing Jennifer said was, I feel like I can't breathe, when she was asked how she felt. So at this point, does Jennifer truly know that Maddie's dead and hasn't been found yet? Or is she just assuming? So Jennifer can't think of any other meds Maddie was on, again using the past tense. Thinking it's just Thursday. Maddie has been gone since Monday, but mothers especially would hold out so much hope for so long. But Jennifer's already lost hope. She's using the past tense. This is even before they've shown her surveillance photos of Maddie slumped over in the car with Stefan. They're asking, does she take that medicine at school, to school, whatever. The asthma medication, yes, Jennifer says, but the Adderall she gives to Maddie before she goes to school. And the anxiety medication, Jennifer gives it to her when she's at home. So how does Maddie react to this medication? How does her body react? Fine, Jennifer says, no side effects, nothing weird. So I don't believe this part, because throughout so many different interviews, we've read people who talk about just how tired and sad Maddie was, in part due to all these medications, and whatever's being given to her. And they're going to press in and ask about Jen and Stefan. Have you guys given her your medications? Of course, Maddie was exhausted too and depressed from all the maltreatment she's received at home. Maddie takes Adderall in the morning, hydroxyzine, which is a sleeping medication, and anxiety medication. That's what she takes at night, close to bed, mostly for a sleep aid. There's a lot of redactions in here. That would be given to her at night, okay, and then the GI medication. It's sad to me that Jennifer is claiming that Maddie needs all these sleeping aids and medications only under the light, when we compare it to all the abuse charges and those horrible descriptions, and so much of it was being done, investigators could see, when Maddie was asleep. So that's what leads me to believe, did Maddie really need all these medications? Was she over-medicated? I know some people do, and this is nothing against medications. One of these I've taken too, so we'll talk about that. It's something against perhaps a child being over-medicated just so she can be abused. That's the part I'm worried about. It's almost like not a double-edged sword, but this horrible cycle. Abuse causing depression and needing the medicine to treat the depression caused by the abuse. And you know what I mean. Now, of course, a lot of people are very much helped by ADHD medication and all these things, medical marijuana, even all these things Jen takes. Nothing against that. I'm just worried about, did they over-medicate Maddie just so she could be in a weakened state, just so Stefan could, unfortunately, do the wrong things to her?
Okay. And then medication that you take.
Me?
Yeah.
I take Ziprazidone, which is brand name is Geodon. That's for bipolar medication. I take anxiety medication, lorazepam, methimazole, which is a thyroid medication. I'm also prescribed medical marijuana in capsule form and flower form. a vitamin D medication, a really high dose of vitamin D I have to, because I had gastric sleeve surgery a few years ago, so I'm vitamin deficient, so they give me some high doses of medications to keep my vitamins balanced. I think that's it.
Okay.
Plunder. True crime audio. Jen talks about taking ziprasidone, the brand name Geodone. That's for her bipolar disorder. And her anxiety medication, lorazepam. Now that I did like. I only took it once. Like, I don't know if you've ever had like an MRI and you go in, and I felt so claustrophobic I had to press the button like, get me out of here. And so she was like, no worries. Here's a prescription. This happens like third time today or whatever. And the machine's so loud. And so she gave me a prescription for lorazepam. So I was like, yes. And they were so right. It's like, take a couple of them. I don't think you can drive. You take a couple of them before my MRI. She's like, don't worry. You won't be worried about a thing. Took a couple of those. Bless God. I was like, I should save this when I'm on an airplane, because I'm not big on flying. But anyway, yeah, had on my gospel music, was in that MRI. Took a couple of the lorazepams, and I did not care. I wasn't like, get me out of here. Made it through. And then she takes a methimazole, something like that, a thyroid medication. She's also prescribed medical marijuana in capsule form and flower form. Then she takes vitamin D medication, a really high dose of vitamin D. She has to have, because she had gastric sleeve surgery a few years ago. So Jennifer said she's vitamin deficient, so they give her some medications to keep her vitamins balanced. Okay, so she goes, I think that's it. So that's a lot of medications. Now they go back to that Monday morning, February 26th.
All right, so going back to the morning that Stefan takes her to school, you said you think it's around 8 o'clock when you physically see Stefan messing with the dog?
Yes.
Okay. And you don't see Maddie anywhere?
I don't.
Okay. When Maddie gets dressed for school, like, now that I've seen the inside of the house, it looks like a majority of her clothes are in that little partitioned area in the living room.
Yeah.
Does she have clothes anywhere else? Like, where would she put clothes to wear to school the next day?
Okay. Where would she get dressed? She would get dressed in her bedroom, right there, that little nook in the living room. All her clothes are there. When she takes off her clothes, her dirty laundry hamper is typically in my bathroom downstairs, and she'll just dump it in the basket. But there is no basket there right now. She's been dumping everything on the floor. I think the basket is currently being used with clean clothes, so I just wanted to keep the clean clothes and dirty clothes separated. So dirty clothes are on the floor right now. What's in the basket should be like half clean, half dirty clothes, I think. Yeah.
Okay. When you go to sleep, when you were sleeping that night, was your door open or shut?
True
It
crime
is left cracked
audio.
open.
Cracked open. Okay. Would you see or hear Maddie going to get changed?
I would say yes, but if I weren't deep asleep, and I think I was deep asleep because I didn't hear anything until Stefan came and woke me up to try to get the dog.
Okay, so he woke you up to help with the dog?
Yeah.
Okay, so you didn't hear tussling around or wrestling around in the kitchen that made you wake up to go help?
No. It was him. He came directly into my room and grabbed the dog, and I got up. I shot up to try to help him. It was until later that after that is when I heard rustling in the kitchen.
Okay. So he takes the dog out, took a potty or whatever it may be, and he comes back inside. Do you see him when he comes back inside?
I don't remember.
Okay. Do you remember him leaving, saying bye to you or anything like that when he's taking Maddie to school?
I don't think so. I think at this point I was already back deep asleep.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure when he went to walk the dog and left, I fell right back asleep immediately.
Okay.
She's thinking it's around 8 a.m. when she physically sees Stefan messing with the dog, but you don't see Maddie anywhere. They find different ways to ask her this, And she's like, yes, I don't. Jennifer answers and she goes back to her quiet one-word answers. So when it's easy stuff like, okay, Jen, what are all the meds you take? Whatever. Different stuff, she's speaking loudly enough to hear her. But when it gets back to those crucial, critical moments, once again, of Monday morning, Sunday night, different things, it's like, yes, I don't, see Maddie anywhere. They're like, well, when Maddie usually gets dressed for school, and he's like, I've seen the inside of the house. I'm assuming they said they're at the condo, but it sounds like they're sitting in the car, which is kind of good acoustics because there's no road noise. There is paper noise later we'll talk about. He's seen the inside of the house, the detective has, and it's like, it looks like a majority of Maddie's clothes are in the living room in that partition part. So they're like, are there clothes anywhere else? Like, where would she put her clothes to get ready for school? Great question. Where would she get dressed? So Jennifer's like, she would get dressed right there in the living room. Her clothes are there, Jennifer says, but she's not quite answering the question. Where did Maddie take this outfit out that you supposedly knew about? Maybe you didn't see it, but you knew Maddie picked out her clothes. Where would she take it and just place it? Would she put it on her desk? Would she just lay it on her bed? Like, she didn't get specific. Jennifer quickly skirts that question. She quickly moves on to, when she takes her clothes off, her dirty laundry hamper is typically in my bathroom downstairs, and she'll just dump it in the basket there. But there's no basket there right now. She's been dumping everything on the floor. I get it. But I think the basket is currently being used for clean clothes. So I think there are clean, and half dirty clothes in the basket. So that's weird to me. Is that just a one-time thing since Maddie is missing? There's dirty and clean clothes in there, like she told the cops that Tuesday night on that body cam. I don't know, that's kind of weird to me. But I get it, dump things on the floor if you have, like, you brought up a load of laundry, you got the clean clothes in there, you haven't put them away yet, so your dirty clothes are on the floor. I get it, I do that. Until you can put all the clean clothes away, put the dirty clothes in there. But it's weird to have half clean, half dirty clothes in the same basket. But she doesn't quite still answer the question about, where does Maddie set out her clothes where she's going to get dressed for school? And they're asking, was your door open or shut that night? And Jennifer's saying her door was cracked open. Like, I don't know how open she means. Was it way ajar or just a little bit? So they're like, would you see or hear Maddie going to get changed? And I don't, something about the way she says this, it's really weird. She says, I would say yes, but if I weren't deep asleep. I think this is the time where she's like deep asleep. She says that another time too, where she's in the hotel with Stefan. He sneaks out because she's so deep asleep. Oh, it really gets on my nerves. So she's saying, I think I was deep asleep because I didn't hear anything until Stefan came in, woke me up to try and get the dog. So she goes to sleep allegedly, 11:30, whatever at night after she sends those texts. Stefan's like, Maddie's nestled in her bed. And she's like, okay, so if Jennifer fell asleep around 11:30, she's so deep asleep, even with her door cracked, she can't determine, even we know Stefan lies. We're trying to figure out if Jennifer lies. She can't even hear like, oh, Maddie's rustling around right there in her little partition part, not far from my room. I see her kind of walking by maybe, even if she's half asleep in frog's pajamas. That's a book. But anyway, even if she's half asleep and Stefan's in there waking her up, supposedly getting the dog on the leash, she thinks it's 8 o'clock. She doesn't find it weird that she doesn't see Maddie at all. She doesn't see a shadow of Maddie. Maddie doesn't dip in and say, Mom, I love you, bye. None of that was weird to her. Stefan woke up Jennifer. He's helping with the dog. Jennifer's like, okay. And they're like, you didn't hear any tussling around or rustling around in the kitchen. She's just like, yeah, I shot up to help him, but it wasn't until later that I heard the rustling in the kitchen, someone closing the cabinets or whatever. So the detective is like, okay, Stefan takes the dog out to go potty or whatever he's doing. And he comes back inside. Do you see him when he comes back inside? Great question. If Stefan's in there, oh yeah, I definitely saw him, and you helped him get the leash on the dog, and he must be walking the dog. Well, he has to come back, right? Long pause. I don't remember. Okay. Do you remember him leaving, saying goodbye to you, anything like that when he's taking Maddie to school? I don't think so. This is the point that really annoyed me. I think at this point I was already back, deep asleep. Something about the way she says that, deep asleep. Ugh. It's just, is there really that much deep sleeping in the world? She's like, I'm pretty sure when he went to walk the dog and left, I fell right back asleep immediately. Like, I shot up to help him with this dog wrestle so the dog won't, okay, and then I go right back to sleep. Boom. I don't know, maybe that's the effects of all her medications. How many people can just, oh, let me shoot up and let me help you with this dog, blah, 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 blah. And then, boop. I'm back asleep so deeply, REM sleep, just like that. I don't know, it's weird.
Now, you go back to sleep.
Plunder, true crime
You wake up
audio.
because you have a doctor appointment to go get blood drawn or something like that.
Yeah.
And you told me your appointment was around 10 or something like that, 9, 10?
Yeah, I'll tell you right now. I think it was 10:15. Yes, it was at 10:15.
Okay. So you go to this appointment, and on your way back, did you talk to Stefan on the phone at all?
I know I talked to him while I was in the parking lot waiting for my blood work to happen. I just don't recall if I called him on my way home as well. It would seem like I would do that, but I just can't 100% tell you if I did do that or not.
Okay. At what time did you and him meet back up here?
Plunder, true crime audio.
So I got back from my blood work appointment anytime between, I'll say 11:15, 11:30, so sometime around that time.
And was he already here?
Yes.
Okay. What did you guys talk about when you got home?
What happened this morning?
What did he say? What happened this morning?
He's like, we had a good morning. We made really good time. Maddie got ready super quick. We were out the doors super quickly. I was super impressed with our time. I tried convincing Maddie to go have McDonald's breakfast a few times, but she changed her mind and decided she didn't want to. She just wanted to sleep in the car. And the thing is, the night before, we had discussed, oh, Maddie, maybe he should leave a little bit earlier than normal so that you can go get breakfast with him at McDonald's. That would be a really cool day to start a Monday right after your birthday, having McDonald's at breakfast. And she's like, oh, that sounds like a good idea. So they were supposed to have gone to McDonald's, but he told me they didn't. He told me he had left his phone because I had he had already told me this earlier, that he had left his phone.
Plunder,
What else
true
did you talk
crime
to me about?
audio.
We sat in my room for a while, hung out. He discussed having to reset his phone even though he didn't want to, or no, not reset his phone. He discussed needing to update his phone because he's been avoiding an update for so long. But I think it's time to do it. And I said, just do it. Stop avoiding it. Just do it. And he started the update, and then through the update, he's like, oh my God, I don't know what button I pressed, but I just factory erased my entire phone. And I said, that was stupid. How'd you manage to do that? He goes, I don't know. I wasn't paying attention, and I just clicked the button, and it happened. And I said, oh, okay, that's unfortunate.
Or did he tell you he meant to reset his phone?
No, he didn't tell me he meant to reset his phone. He acted like and said that it was an accident.
Did you find that odd?
Of course I find that fucking odd. That's suspicious as hell. That,
Have you ever reset any kind of phone?
me, I have no idea how to do that now.
Okay. Have you ever had to do an update on a phone?
I think so. On these phones, yeah. Sometimes it'll ask me to just continue on with the update. And do I remember it ever asking me to erase?
Plunder,
No.
true crime audio.
Okay.
But he's got a Samsung. I have Apple, so I don't know if there is a difference or not. So,
Okay, so she goes back to sleep and she wakes up because she has a doctor's appointment to get her blood drawn. And then she tells the detective he's trying to figure out the time. You know, was it like 9:10 or something? She's like, I'll tell you right now. So she must still have her phone. I think it was 10:15. Yes, it was at 10:15. Now, did you talk to Stefan on the phone at all? Another long pause. I know I talked to him while I was in the parking lot waiting for my blood work to happen. I don't know if I did on my way home. She's like, it seems like I would, but I can't be 100% sure. She couldn't be 100% sure. So she gets back from her blood appointment around 11:15 or 11:30. Was he already home? Yes. What did you guys talk about when you got home? She said, what happened this morning? And so the detective's like, well, what happened this morning? She gives a deep exhale. And then he's like, we had a good morning. Maddie got ready super quick. We got out the door really quickly. And I'm thinking, whether Jennifer knew it or not, this part is probably really true. They got out the door really quickly because Stefan was probably carrying Maddie really quickly right there to the car so no one would see him. But anyway, she's saying, Stefan said he was super impressed with our time. I tried convincing Maddie to have McDonald's a few times, but she didn't want it. She just wanted to sleep in the car. So Jennifer is back to putting herself in the first person as Stefan and still just not making sense. His logic, of course, doesn't make sense. We know he's lying, but why didn't Jennifer challenge him on like, wait a minute, Maddie got up that early, even though she's claiming she thought it was later. She got up, but she's so sleepy and she just wants to sleep in the car. Well, why didn't she stay in bed? Because in that other interview we listened to, on a typical day, Jennifer talked about, Maddie and I would get up with whatever and we'd snooze our alarm until 8 o'clock or whatever, or we'd snooze it. So obviously they had a routine where if they're still tired, they'd just be hitting the snooze on their phones. So why on this day would it be, oh, Maddie's still so sleepy, but she wants to go sleep in the car? Jennifer's going to talk about calling herself a fool, for believing Stefan, but is she really a wise fool who's really trying to pull the wool over the eyes of these detectives and the public? Jennifer said, we had discussed the night before, Maddie, you should get ready early with him, and it'd be a really cool Monday after your birthday to have some McDonald's. And then Jennifer's claiming, to Maddie, and we can't ask Maddie. Unfortunately, Maddie said, oh, that was a good idea. The night before, we should get McDonald's. Jennifer says Stefan told her he left his phone at home. Then she says something like, he didn't really have a reason why he left his phone. So she's trying to remember their supposed conversations. She said they hung out for a while, her and Stefan. And Jennifer's like, what else did we talk about? Oh, and here comes the reset of the phone. She said he discussed needing to reset his phone, even though he didn't want to. So Jennifer kind of messes up there. She goes, not a reset, an update. She's saying, Stefan was like, I don't know what button I pressed, but I just factory reset my phone. The detective is like, or did he tell you he meant to reset his phone? She's like, no, he didn't tell me. He acted like, and he said he reset his phone. So this is where Jennifer starts cursing when the detective is asking her if she found it odd. I don't know if Jennifer's falling into her normal vernacular of speaking here, or if she's using the cursing to try and be a little shocking, to try and relate to the detectives, kind of like a Nicole Kessinger, the stuff she did. Some women do that, they try and be the cool girl and they try and start cursing like, almost like I can cuss like you guys or whatever. Or is she trying to be a little shocking? Almost like Stefan Stearns did, because it was a way of diversion when he said to the detective Tagler, the female detective, he was like, oh, I reset my phone, and I go, what the F? Oh, excuse me. Like it was just like a stalling tactic. So Jennifer's like answering a question. The detective is like, did you find that odd? This phone reset? And she's like, of course I find that effing odd. That's suspicious as hell. And then they're like, have you ever reset a phone? She's like, yeah, I remember it asking me to continue with an update, but do I ever remember my phone asking me to erase? No. But then she goes, but he's got a Samsung. I have an Apple. I don't know if there's a difference or not. So again, this is one of the times I believe the detective is referencing. She's kind of still making excuses for him where it doesn't make sense. She's making excuses for Stefan's weird situations, explanations. Like, yeah, I don't know how a Samsung really operates technically. I mean, I have an iPhone and we know how those updates go, but no phone manufacturer would make it easy to do a factory reset and erase your whole phone.
All right, now that you mentioned phones, so Maddie had a phone.
Yeah.
And explain to me what her attachment is to her phone.
Her phone is her lifeline. That's how she talks to all of her friends. That's how she talks to any of us. She's constantly on video chat with her best friend, or talking to them, or playing video games with them. But she's on her phone pretty often. What exactly would you like to know about her?
So, at one point you told either a deputy or officer or detectives that sometimes she leaves her phone at home
Plunder,
when she goes to school.
True crime audio.
How often do you think that is?
I would say once every few weeks. It happens a lot. Like, for me, that's a lot. She has ADHD. She's very forgetful. She'll set something down and completely forget where she said it later. Where I found her phone was on her dresser. So I'm assuming she placed it there while she was getting ready and completely forgot about it, got ready, grabbed her backpack, and left. But it was on the dresser in front of her TV. But for me, that's a normal thing for her to forget her phone.
They start talking about Maddie's relationship with her phone. This is smart. Jennifer says her phone is her lifeline. Now, we remember who said those words. Chris Watts said those same words about Shanann Watts' relationship with her phone. Jennifer's like, Maddie's constantly on video chat with her friends. She's on her phone pretty often. And then she's like, what exactly would you like to know? They're like, well, you said sometimes she leaves her phone at home. How often? And Jennifer says something like once every few weeks or once a week. It's hard to tell. It's hard to understand her cadence sometimes. But the cops here are trying to get her to see how unlikely it would be for Maddie to leave her phone at home so often as Jennifer claimed. But Jennifer said, for me, that's a lot, whether it's, I guess, once a week or every few weeks, whatever. Here she goes. She has ADHD. She's very forgetful. She'll set something down. Jennifer claims she found Maddie's phone on the dresser in front of the TV. I assume she set her phone down and grabbed her backpack and left.
Now, when she went, do you remember what time she went to bed on Sunday?
I sent them to bed around 11 o'clock.
Okay. Did you see him or her anytime after that other than in the morning? Or talk to them? Either via text or yell through the walls or...
No, nothing like that. If anything, Stefan may have come down to use
Plunder,
the restroom.
True crime audio.
Why wouldn't he use the restroom upstairs?
Because our roommate does not like sharing. Our roommate does not like sharing bathrooms with men, and she asked that we don't use that bathroom, or that he doesn't use that bathroom specifically. So we've respected her wishes, and he's been using my bathroom this whole time.
And so they go back to Sunday night. Jennifer's like, yeah, I sent them to bed around 11 o'clock. Just to say that sounds weird. I sent them to bed, as if you're talking about your twin 4-year-old girls or something. I sent them off to bed, Did you see either of them until the morning or talk to them, after that by text or yelling through the walls or anything? They're trying to say, look, woman, did you hear anything from Stefan or Maddie after you sent them off? And, that little text string I guess she had with Stefan around 11:30, up until 8 a.m. when you claim you saw Stefan. Jennifer says, if anything, Stefan would have used the bathroom. He would have had to come downstairs, not the one upstairs, because Jen's roommate doesn't like sharing a bathroom, I think with either of them, but especially with him. So for that bathroom specifically, maybe the roommate had an inkling already of what a creep Stefan was, and she probably didn't know he was filming under doors, like under bedroom doors. Who knows if he did bathroom filming or whatever, but Jen says they respected her wishes.
Were you supposed to work Monday?
No, I was off.
Okay, what about Tuesday?
Off. Wednesday, I was supposed to work.
And you told me you work at the front desk at Coronado Springs at Disney.
Yes.
How long have you worked there?
Less than a week.
Okay, did you work anywhere prior to that?
I was a substitute teacher for Kelly Education.
And how long did you do that?
Maybe a month or two. Not very long. And then before that, I've been unemployed. I've been living off disability, essentially. I'm disabled.
Okay, why are you disabled? From what?
I have a bunch of things. Primarily PTSD.
From what?
So PTSD, bipolar 2, generalized anxiety, ADHD, think that's pretty much it with my psychiatric stuff.
Okay, if you don't mind me asking, what happened with
Plunder, true crime audio.
I went on a date with a guy I had met.
Was this before Stefan, or?
Yeah, this was before
Okay.
Stefan. This was way before. It was a few years before Stefan, or maybe the year before Stefan. But met a guy at a car dealership who interviewed me for a job. I turned the job down, and he said, "Oh, great, I can't date my employees." And I said, "Oh, what do you mean?" He goes, "Yeah, I want to take you out on a date." And I said, "Oh, wow, I've never been asked out on a date in person before." And we went out on a date. He got really drunk. We got back to his place.
Plunder, true crime audio. The detective asked, "Were you supposed to work on Monday?" Jennifer's like, "No." "Tuesday?" "No. I was off. I was supposed to work Wednesday." So Jennifer is like, this is the first time she's really also making it clear, because before she sounded like, when we first started studying this case, she sounded like, oh, I needed such a good night's sleep on Sunday. But she had Monday and Tuesday off. So what did she need so much sleep for? She's going to explain it later. So Jennifer has worked less than a week at the front desk at the Coronado Springs. I guess that's a hotel. She only worked there for about a week, and that's the Disney job she had. Now, prior to that, she was a substitute teacher for a short time. She only worked as a sub for a month or two. And Jen has PTSD, bipolar 2, generalized anxiety, ADHD. Jennifer is explaining why she lives off disability, which, you know, I had a heart for people who truly are living off disability, different issues. We don't know what people have been through. Her PTSD, she probably says at this point it's from, you know, a sexual assault, but they bleep it out. She probably says the R word because it's a real quick bleep. So Jen starts explaining, here's the trigger. She went on a date with a guy she had met before Stefan. A few years or the year before Stefan, she met a guy at a car dealership. He said, oh, great. She didn't get the job, but he said, oh, great. I can't date my employees. And she's just like, whoa, what do you mean? And she's like, I've never been asked out on a date in person before. So people were like, what? No one's asked you out in person? Maybe she means like she's used to, I don't know, dating apps, I'm assuming. Then we know she went through gastric bypass, and I have seen what she looked like, you know, at her wedding, and maybe she had more of this drastic weight loss, and maybe it was the first time a guy was kind of hitting on her in person. Maybe that's what she was saying. Anyway, this guy, she said he got drunk, they got back to his place, and a long redaction, so we can assume. So that part, of course, made us feel bad for her. Like, this is no excuse of what happened to Maddie, like if Jennifer was aware. Now, of course, we can hold many different thoughts and feelings all at once. So if Jennifer truly was assaulted and that caused her PTSD, it's horrible. And if she truly needs all these medications and has anxiety and all these issues, I do feel bad for her. But at the same token, Jennifer shouldn't use it as an excuse to be unaware of what's happening or what had happened with her daughter. So I want to be as tactful as I can in that regard, knowing that many people have been through a lot. A lot of people have suffered trauma. A lot of people need medication. A lot of people are on disability. So that's something. But I don't like it being used as an excuse, perhaps, you know, and this is what we've heard from the beginning. If Jennifer was so zonked out and out of touch and focused on her own issues that it caused trauma to her daughter because of Jennifer not having her head on a swivel, not being aware of who's around her in terms of the monster that is Stefan Stearns.
If you didn't work, what would your typical day look like?
My entire day was focused around Maddie.
On a normal basis?
Mm-hmm. Okay. I would wake up first thing in the morning, make sure she was ready, make her breakfast, get her backpack and water bottle ready. If she's taking lunch, get her some lunch ready. This is me doing this while she's getting ready. Walk the dog.
Plunder,
come back.
true
make sure she
crime
takes all her medications
audio.
before school. Take her to school. Come back. I typically have a bunch of doctor's appointments to go to often, so I'm either at doctor's appointments. If I'm not at doctor's appointments, I'm just here at home Probably napping, resting, just waiting until it's time to pick her up from school again. She was my entire life. Everything I did was, my everyday was for her.
Did Stefan know about your doctor appointment on Monday? Did you tell him what your plans were on Sunday?
I'm not sure when I told him. I must have told him Sunday night, yeah, or Sunday, because there's no way I could have told him Monday morning if he didn't have his phone on him, and I didn't really talk to him that morning.
Okay, so a different detective, you can tell he chimes in. He's like, okay, if you didn't work that day, what would your typical day look like? Now, she tries to be Mother Teresa or Mother of the Year. My entire day was focused around Maddie, when she didn't work. Jen said she would make her breakfast, get her water bottle ready. If she's taking lunch, get her lunch ready. Jen would be walking the dog and come back and make sure Maddie's taking her meds. I typically have a bunch of doctor's appointments, she says, so, she'd be doing that, or then she'd come home, she'd be napping, just resting until it's time to pick her up from school again. She was my entire life. Everything I did, my entire day was for her. I don't know. She's trying to make it seem like she's so dedicated to her daughter, getting her up and ready for school, getting her food, getting her lunch, everything. Okay, and then just nap, and then get ready to go pick her up. And then I was like, oh, is that why? Did Jennifer used to really leave home at like 2:30 and go drive over to Hunters Creek Middle School and just wait for an hour for Maddie because she was wasting time? I think she's trying to make herself sound like such a good mother because she had so many regrets, I think now, and she had so many problems, and she's trying to make it seem like Maddie consumed her life and consumed her day and everything was about Maddie when it wasn't. So did Stefan know about your doctor's appointment on Monday? Did you tell him what your plans were on Sunday? Jennifer says, I'm not sure. When I told him, I must have told him, Sunday night or Sunday. There's no way I could have told him Monday morning if he didn't have his phone on him. So she's thinking it through. I couldn't have told him that day.
Where'd you meet him?
We both worked at a real estate office off of I Drive somewhere. They're called Eco Homes. I don't think they exist anymore, though. The Eco Home Company. I think he was a real estate agent for them or did warranty work for them. And I was an appointment setter. And I didn't have that job for very long. I got fired. It was right after my PTSD incident. I couldn't hold down a job at all.
So when you and Stefan would hang out, say Maddie's at school and you two wanted to hang out, or the three of you wanted to hang out, like what would you guys do? Like where would you go? Or
primarily Disney. We have Disney annual pass holders. We both worked for Disney at one point. Well, at least he worked there at one point. I still work there. But we go to Disney. Or we'd stay at home and they would play board games, or we'd watch. Well, we loved watching movies. We would always have family time and just watch a new movie. I felt like it was one of our projects to make sure that she watched all the good movies from the 80s and 90s that we grew up watching. I just wanted her to have that knowledge of pop culture. So we, last movie we watched with her was Sister Act.
When was that?
Sunday night.
So they get into where they met, and it wasn't at Disney. A lot of us assumed they met at Disney, but she said, no, we both worked at the Eco Home Company, real estate agency. Jennifer did warranty work. She said, I didn't have that job for very long. I got fired. That was right after my PTSD incident. I couldn't hold down a job at all. So they're trying to find out, where did you and Stefan spend time with Maddie? Or you guys alone when Maddie was in school? What'd you guys do for fun? So she talks about going to Disney a lot because they're Disney pass holders. So that's where Jen and Stefan and Maddie would hang out, or they stayed home, they played board games, watched movies, family time, she calls it. She would show Maddie movies from the 80s and 90s. She wanted her to have that knowledge of pop culture. Our last movie we watched was Sister Act. Sunday night. Now I know it does kind of make sense and it's easy to say. The last thing we did was, I feel like she means, okay, the most recent thing we did, but a lot of times she'll just give it that finality of the last. The last night we had her, she said in that body cam, or the last movie we watched, almost like she knew that was the last night, Sunday. The last day we had her, Sunday. Or the last movie we watched, she already knew, okay, that was it. Sister Act. I'm not going to be watching any more movies with Maddie. That was the last movie we watched.
Would you go out to like eat anywhere, like a favorite restaurant or anything like that?
The only restaurant I think we frequented a handful of times in the last year is La Mexicana. It's on Alpha
Plunder. True crime audio.
Honestly, living on disability and then his income at Disney, like, it wasn't enough to survive. We really didn't eat out often. We couldn't afford it.
Okay. Would you go, like, visit any parks or, other than, not Disney parks, but, like, neighborhood parks or anything like that?
No, we'd hang out right here at this lake. Mm-hmm. Maddie really liked hanging out at this lake and just drawing, sitting on one of the benches and drawing. Any other park? No, not really.
Now, what if it was just you and him? Say going out on a date or wherever. Where would you guys typically go?
So, due to money, hardly ever went out on a date. Honestly, we hardly went out on dates. There's only one date I can think of that we went on, and that was like years ago at the beginning of our relationship, where we went to Disney Springs. I went to the Edison. I don't think we've had many date nights, just him and me. It's always been the three of us doing something, going to dinner, going to Disney Springs. We visit Disney Springs sometimes, often, or not often, but sometimes. We really liked that restaurant, Deluxe Burger. Really good. Shane really enjoyed it there.
Anyway, they talk about a restaurant, the one they frequented a handful of times this past year. It's off Columbia, I believe she says, is La Mexicana, I think she said, restaurant. She talks about because she's living off disability and Stefan's income at Disney isn't that great. It wasn't enough to survive, she says. We didn't eat out often. We couldn't afford it. That's pretty interesting. She said it wasn't enough to survive. So how did they pay for the extras in life? I don't know. So where'd they hang out? Maddie really liked hanging out at the lake around their condos, townhomes, that lake, and drawing and everything. But as for Jen and Stefan, they hardly ever went out on a date due to money. They hardly went out on dates. Honestly, she says at the beginning of our relationship, we went to something like Disney Springs and Edison, I think she says. But she said they've hardly been on date nights. It's always the three of them going out to dinner or Disney Springs. That's interesting that Jennifer and Stefan didn't have much time solo together. And it's probably that Stefan just didn't want that. Like he probably wanted, I found this single mom with a beautiful daughter, you know, this package deal, I'll take it because I really just want the daughter.
Now, the dynamic between you three. I know you told me that sometimes you and her would sleep in the bed.
Yeah.
Sometimes the three of you would sleep in the bed. And then sometimes you would send him and her to a bedroom so you could get a good night's sleep.
Yeah.
How long has that been going on?
Okay, so...
Plunder, true crime audio.
I'm going to say back in June. It was primarily the three of us sleeping in bed together all the time.
And why? How did that start?
Maddie has always slept in the bed with me. She's always slept in my room. Only when we lived in that apartment in Northport did she have her own bedroom. And we could afford for her to have her own room. So that was the only time she's actually had her own room. Here, she's always shared a room with me. When she was a baby, she had her own bedroom here for a few years. But once she got older, and we started having roommates and all that stuff, she started just staying with me in my bedroom. Stefan, during the times that we did live with Stefan, it would be the three of us in this bed down here, down in the master bedroom. It wasn't until June of last year that we had broken up, and I said, okay, I don't want to sleep in the same bed with you. Please move upstairs. Mm-hmm. And he moved upstairs.
Plunder, true crime audio.
At this point, Maddie pretty much slept with me all the time. I think I can count maybe on one hand how many times she's gone upstairs to sleep with him alone, because I wasn't comfortable with it. I was like, no, this it doesn't look right. Like, it just doesn't seem right. Like, I'm not comfortable with it. Maddie, you gotta sleep with me. And I've told him that. But there were times that they'd beg for sleepovers, like, please, we just want to stay up late watching movies. And I would be too tired to stay up late, so I would say, fine, go ahead and do it. But just this once, like...
When did you start becoming comfortable with it?
I don't know if I was ever comfortable with it.
But you told them to go Sunday night to go sleep together.
I did. That was a selfish move on my part. It's because I wanted a good night's sleep. I didn't want her kicking me or rolling into me or waking me up, or to hear her alarm so that it woke me up. I wanted to keep sleeping until I needed to sleep, because I just had not, with my training schedule, I have not had a good night's sleep. My medication was out of whack. I was feeling funny and not like myself, and I knew that I needed another night's sleep and my medication in my body, like, ASAP, so I needed to go to bed. So I wasn't even comfortable sending her that night, but I just did it for my own selfish reasons.
Okay.
So they talk about the dynamics of the sleeping arrangements. The detectives are like, sometimes you said it's just you and Maddie sleeping there. Sometimes it's the three of you guys sleeping in the bed, you, Stefan, and Maddie. And then sometimes it's just Maddie and Stefan. How long has that been going on? Very long pause again. Jennifer's like, I'm gonna say back in June, it was primarily the three of us sleeping in bed all together. So she's just starting like from June of last year. Like, what about 7 or 8 years ago? She doesn't just kind of start from the beginning. Jennifer doesn't answer this whole situation. They met in 2016, as I understand it, somewhere in there. They started dating allegedly in 2018. So why can't she just say, well, maybe this is in her mind, I first introduced Stefan to Maddie in 2016, or when we first started dating in 2018, we just started all sleeping in the bed together. She gives us different snippets, but it's not like logical or sequential, And something that was said on the docket last night, it was really interesting. Same thing I was thinking. If Maddie was almost always in bed with Stefan and Jennifer, when they had an active sex life, what did they do? Like, where did Maddie go? If Maddie hardly ever slept in another room, when could Jen and Stefan become intimate? I know she told cops, okay, she didn't want to do it like the past 6 months or whatever, but before that, it's weird. The detective is digging in again to get the answer to his question. When did these sleeping arrangements start? Jennifer says they had some apartment in Northport. Technically not Northport, is city over. Maddie had her own room then. It sounds like Jennifer's saying that's the only time they could afford for Maddie to have her own room. So I need to look up too, do more research of when they lived there. But she says here at this condo, I guess in Kissimmee, Maddie has always shared a room with Jennifer. Now what's weird, it's so backwards here. Jennifer says when Maddie was a baby, I think in the condo, she's saying, I don't know if they went from this Kissimmee condo down to near Northport and then back, but it sounds like she says when Maddie was a baby in the condo with Jennifer, Maddie had her own room. However, as she got older and they started having roommates and stuff, then Maddie started sharing a room with Jen. So I guess that makes sense in terms of what you can afford. Like normally, sometimes the baby's off in a nursery, or, the baby might be in the parents' room next to them when the baby's really young, and then as the baby gets older, has their own nursery, toddler, different people depending on what you can afford. But it's weird that as Maddie got older, how she would sleep with Jennifer. She started sharing the room because Jennifer started having roommates, and maybe since Jennifer couldn't keep a job and maybe couldn't afford it, it was maybe a financial decision. So Maddie just started staying with Jennifer in her bedroom. Stefan would be there too. Eventually it would be the three of us in the bedroom, she said. But when they broke up, he moved upstairs because Jennifer said, I don't want to sleep in the same room with you, Stefan. Here she goes. Jennifer says, I can count on one hand the number of times she's gone upstairs to sleep with him alone. So has it really been 5 times? Has it been much more? This part, it really bothered me. This is when she starts to blame Maddie. Jennifer says, Jennifer's trying to be the mom saying, no, Maddie, it doesn't look right. It doesn't seem right, Maddie. You've got to sleep with me. And Jennifer says, I told her that. Jennifer says there's times when Maddie and Stefan would just beg her, please, 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 we want to stay up late watching movies. And Maddie and Stefan would beg for sleepovers. So she says, I would be too tired, so I would say, fine, go ahead, but do it just this once. So just this once, 5 times or more, or what? It's getting dicey. And I'm sorry, it's just your boyfriend and he's there and your little girl is there and, blaming it on the little girl and him. Oh yeah, we want to go upstairs and watch a movie. And no, there's ways. Does Jennifer have a TV in her bedroom? I'm probably pretty sure she could just be like, look, I'm gonna knock out since she's such a deep sleeper, and she could be like, you guys watch a movie here. And to me, it's like, just take care of your daughter. The guy shouldn't have even been in the condo, but if she doesn't want to sleep with Stefan anymore, get up, get out, go get in room 4 or whatever. Don't send your daughter up there to sleep with him. It's just weird. Okay, the detective is like, when did you start becoming comfortable with it? She's like, I don't know if I was ever comfortable with it. But the detective is like, but you told them Sunday night to go on up there and sleep together. And she's like, yeah, it was a selfish move. I didn't want her kicking me, rolling over, hearing her alarm. I was feeling funny. My meds were out of whack. I wasn't myself. I knew I needed just another good night's sleep. I needed to get my medicine in me ASAP. So I did it for my own selfish reasons. I wasn't even comfortable with it that night. It's like, whatever, Jen. They didn't need to be kicked out if this even happened. Maddie and Stefan didn't need to be kicked out to go upstairs. The girl had just celebrated her birthday party, that Sunday. We don't know what they did Thursday. On her actual birthday, gets home like half an hour, she sees her, looks at her gifts, counts her cash, and is like, get out, get up, get upstairs, out of here. I need my sleep because I have Monday and Tuesday off. It's not making sense to me.
Did you know?
Plunder, true crime audio.
He's never said anything to you or anything about it?
No. If anything, I've always told him that my biggest fear is that this would turn into a Woody Allen situation where the stepdaughter the dad grooms the child and the child turns 18 and ends up running away with him. I told him that was my biggest fear and I don't ever want that happening. You can't do that to me.
Why would you say that to him?
Because I never trusted. I grew up being told never trust a man. My mom put that in my body, never trust a man. And I did not completely 100% trust the man, but in my the logic in my head was saying, he's been in your life for 7 years, nothing's happened, he hasn't shown you anything that he's weird or that he's done or that he's interested in her or said anything about her body or talked to her about her in any specific way that freaked me out. He's never said anything like that or shown me any of those signs. So I thought I could trust him, that he was safe, that he was a good guy and that he was taking care of my baby and loved her the way I loved her. But I was wrong.
Yes, because you may think he was whatever.
I know.
Plunder, true crime audio.
So I need you to, I know this is a lot, but Monday morning, I really need you to focus on his actions Monday morning.
Okay.
So you go to help him with the dog. Okay.
Yeah.
And do you or do you not see Maddie?
I do not see Maddie.
Okay.
So then they say, did you know redacted? He's never said anything to you or anything about it? So I'm thinking the detective must have asked her something about Stefan's designs on Maddie, his desires for her, his wrong motives. Here she goes with the Woody Allen story. Oh my goodness. She said, I always told him my biggest fear is that the stepdaughter falls like she's about to blame Maddie. She stopped herself from blaming Maddie, but she is like, her biggest fear is that the stepdaughter falls in love with her dad and it turns into a Woody Allen situation where the dad grooms the child. Oh my goodness. I mean, seriously. Okay, the Woody Allen story quickly. Woody Allen, famous American filmmaker. In 1992, Mia Farrow, his wife, accused Woody Allen of doing the wrong thing, abusing their daughter, Dylan Farrow. Dylan Farrow was age 7. Allen has denied those allegations. That's just one part. Mia, she's beautiful. She adopted all these children. Dylan Farrow, great writer, done a great series. Oh my goodness. Just look at the New York Times. You'll figure out all of this. But it was their adopted daughter, Soon-Yi, who Woody basically had designs on and ended up marrying. And so that's what she's referencing. But Jennifer makes it sound like, I'm fearing Maddie's going to fall in love with Stefan and they'll run away together when she turns 18. She's like, you can't do that to me, where the stepdad runs away with the daughter when she turns 18, basically after being groomed. You'll hear her exact words, but oh my goodness. People are like, what? So that's how Jennifer is looking at this. Instead of like, she says, after being groomed. She's not looking at it as, if she had those fears at all, why was she letting him anywhere around her daughter? If she's comparing this to a Woody Allen situation. First of all, she can't compare this to Woody Allen. Mia Farrow, to me, was blindsided by Woody Allen. Jennifer, I don't know. Like, okay, fine, maybe she's blindsided. I still got to give her the benefit of the doubt. I don't want to be too harsh on this woman. I know she's been through a lot, but I still want Maddie to get her justice, have her say what was really the truth. And this is when Jennifer launches into, they're like, why did you think that way? She goes, because my mom told me never trust a man. I've grown up, never trust a man. Where she put that in my body. So she's saying, but she looked at Stefan for 7 years. He hasn't done anything weird, talked about Maddie's body. She thought she could trust him. I thought he was taking care of my baby the way I was taking care. I was wrong. The detective says, yes, you may think he was whatever, long redaction. Perhaps he's saying you may think he was, a good guy, but he was really assaulting your daughter right under your nose. I don't know what he says there. I'm just trying to fill in the blanks. Jennifer says, I know, and she's crying. I like how the detectives, they don't let her cry too long. I wish we could see it. I don't think this was videotaped. I wish we could see her body language.
At that time, would it be normal for her to be awake, getting up, ready for school?
Yes.
Okay. And according to you, she typically does that in her bedroom.
Yes.
Okay. When you go out of your bedroom to help him with this dog...
I never left my bedroom.
You didn't?
He was in my bedroom. He walked in, the dog was on top of my bed, and he went to leash the dog on top of my bed. I got off the bed to try to help him with that, and then he said, no, go back to sleep, so I did.
Okay. He tells you that he took Maddie to school and drops her off somewhere near the school so she could walk, because she doesn't want to be seen inside of his car.
Yeah.
Okay, do you believe him?
I don't think so anymore.
Why?
Because of the evidence, because of photos, because of what you're telling me. Because
Plunder, true crime audio.
I want to hope my daughter's alive and out there, that she was taken. I don't know anymore.
Well, I can be fairly confident that a stranger did not take Maddie. The only person she was with was Stefan.
Why would he go to Northport?
I don't know. I don't know what's in Northport other than his parents. Did you know he was going to Northport?
I thought when I woke up and he wasn't in the hotel, I thought he had gone to the Target Plaza right next door to the hotel we were staying at, because he likes to go shopping when he's stressed. But that's not what happened according to you guys. He actually went all the way to Northport and came back.
So when he gets stressed, he likes to go shopping.
Yeah.
Okay, did he tell you he was going shopping on Monday?
He was gonna go stop at a few game shops to see if they had any Lorcana cards for sale.
Would that be considered stressful shopping? In your mind? Or your eyes?
No, because he does this often. He'll want to see what stores have what in stock to see if he can afford to buy it or
audio.
not. Mm-hmm. He'll go from shop to shop. He's done this. He does this. He does that.
Okay. So going back to it, he says he drops Maddie off and he sees her walking towards the school.
Yeah.
And then, did he tell you where he went after that?
He said he drove around for a little bit, killing time, and then...
Killing time for what?
For the vape shop to open.
Okay.
And then I think he told me he waited... No, he told me he waited in front of the vape shop for it to open. But I think that it didn't open. It never opened in time when it was supposed to.
Do you know what vape shop he went to?
Yes. Let me pull it up. And I know that I brought this vape shop up to one of the other detectives earlier, and I had shown them this location. But that vape shop is located in a plaza where it has an Amscot on one corner and a bank on the other corner. So if you guys could probably find video footage of if he was even there, pulling in and out. That's in Hunter's Creek.
And you know for a fact this is where he went?
That's where he told me. Yeah. If it's any vape shop, it's this vape shop. And
why that one? Why that specific one?
He likes the brand, the e-smoker company. And that's where he gets all of his vape stuff. He won't go to any other vape shop around here. He goes to that one.
What time is this vape shop supposed to open? Does it say on there? Kyle?
10 a.m.
Plunder.
Okay.
True crime audio. So they're like, look, I really need you to focus on his actions Monday morning. You help him with the dog, do you or do you not see Maddie? I do not see Maddie. At that time, would it be normal for you to see her getting ready for school? Yes. And according to you, Maddie usually gets ready in her bedroom, basically right there. So the detective is like, so when you left your bedroom, Jennifer was quick to stop him there. She's like, I never left my bedroom. She gets loud now. The dog was on top of my bed. I got off the bed to try and help him with that, but he said, no, go back to sleep. So they're like, do you believe Stefan about Maddie being embarrassed about his car and him taking her to school and dropping her off nearby? So Jennifer sounds upset again. I don't think so, because of the evidence, the photos, because of what you're telling me. And then she's like, he's clearly a liar. I want to hope that my daughter's alive out there and that she was taken. I don't know anymore. The detective is like, look, we can be confident that the only person she was with was Stefan. This is another weird question to me. She's like, well, why would she go to Northport? I had to listen to that about 5 times. Jennifer, again, she sounds so strange, like she's blaming Maddie. Why would she go to Northport with him? Instead of asking, why would Stefan do this to my daughter? Why would he take her to Northport? Maybe at this point, they didn't know where Maddie was, so they assumed, I guess, he took her down to Northport. Jen is asking instead, why would she go to Northport? Jen is almost treating Maddie like competitive sister wife, saying, my biggest fear is to have a Woody Allen situation where the stepdaughter falls in love. Whoop, let me stop that. Where the dad grooms the child child. She's looking at Maddie as the enemy, as competition. Why would she go to Northport? Like, almost like, why would she run away to Northport with my boyfriend? Or it's just weird. So they talk about late Tuesday, technically Wednesday morning, before Stefan was arrested. Jennifer said she woke up and Stefan wasn't in the hotel room. She thought he went to Target. He likes to go shopping when he's stressed. But that's not what happened according to you guys. He went all the way to Northport and came back. It's always according to you guys. Just wait till we get to the March 1st interview where she's all like blaming the detectives. She likes to throw a lot of blame on them and they're not taking it. And I love it. She's like blaming the detectives like, you guys put some report and it leaked online. I hate when people say stuff leaked when it's just a public records request. It leaked. It said, horrible, my family's traumatized and because of your report, you put all these horrible details and my family's like, don't read it. Don't read it. Jennifer, your family's traumatized because of what Stefan did to Maddie. You know, that's the blame. But by Jennifer trying to throw darts at everyone else, it makes me look at her sideways. So they're like, okay, well, he likes to shop when he's stressed. You know, you think he went to Target or whatever. Was he doing stressful shopping on Monday, the 26th? Then she's like, well, no, you know, sounds like she's covering for him again because they want to know, look, if Stefan was doing stressful shopping on Monday, like, why didn't you notice that, basically, the day your daughter's missing? But Jennifer says, no, he'll go from shop to shop. He does that. He was going to go shop at a few game shops on Monday to see if he could find some Loracana card or whatever to see if he could afford it. So he told you he dropped Maddie off, and what did he do after that? He said he drove around a little bit, killing time. There's that word again, that phrase, killing time. They're like, killing time for what? She's like, before the vape shop opened. So again, she goes into, you guys could probably find video footage if he was even there. So she's pretending like she doubts him. If he was even there at the vape shop, you know, you could find footage of him pulling in and out. Jennifer does say, I told the other detectives this information. This is the only vape shop he likes. He likes to go to this one because he likes this particular e-cigarette company.
When you guys are here, are you guys assigned garage remotes for the... How many of those do you have?
I have one. Stefan has one. I'm not sure if Angelica or Natalie have one.
Is it something you keep in your pocket or...
I keep in my car.
What about Stefan?
I think sometimes he leaves it in the car, sometimes he brings it in with himself. It depends.
Why would he bring it inside?
I'm not sure.
Does that seem normal to you? To bring a garage remote inside the house?
No. But he said that morning he left the house. He said that morning he left the house and then returned again because he forgot the garage clicker,
Plunder,
so he came back to get the
True
clicker.
crime audio.
I don't know how true that is or not. But
Did you think that was odd?
he's a very forgetful guy. I don't fucking know what to think of him anymore. I don't know if he's lying. I don't know.
All right. So you know you're all around.
Yeah. That's Maddie asleep in the car.
Maddie's not asleep in the car.
What do you mean? She's
Do you
dead?
believe Maddie's asleep there?
Is she dead?
I don't know. We don't know where she's at.
That's an odd way for her to be laying down sleeping.
So this is at 7:30 in the morning. Ish.
That's way too early.
But you said you thought around 8 o'clock.
Because I assumed that he was getting her ready for school. So that would be the time he'd wake me up and take her. It was earlier.
just for the recording, this is a video from within the complex that shows the front angle through the windshield.
Yes. So the next picture is going to be Maddie in the front seat of Stefan's car. You see right here? Mm-hmm. That's taken at 9 o'clock near SeaWorld.
9 o'clock in the morning?
Mm-hmm.
Plunder, true crime audio.
What the fuck? Where did he go?
I'm hoping you can tell me that.
He went to SeaWorld?
He's near SeaWorld. That's International Drive. Does he know anybody up there?
I don't think so.
Is there a special place
doesn't
he
have
likes to go?
He doesn't have many friends like that. Like, not locally. Does he have anywhere he would like to go?
Is there a special place he likes to go?
Nothing I can think of.
Here's another picture from the dumpster in Venetian Bay of Stefan throwing away trash.
What day?
That's going to be Monday morning, probably around 7:45.
Has that already been taken? Have you guys been able to look at what was dumped?
Mm-hmm.
What was thrown out?
What do you think was in there?
Clothes? I don't know.
What makes you say clothes?
Plunder, true crime audio.
I can't tell what he's holding. I don't know if it's a plastic bag full of stuff or...
Inside of that bag is Maddie's backpack, Maddie's school computer, and one of her Crocs.
Are you telling me we're looking for a body right now?
We're looking for Maddie, absolutely. 100% we're looking for her.
No. It's most likely she's not alive.
I don't know. I can't answer that. I have a feeling that you and Stefan have some sort of communication on places he likes to go, or so, because some of the questions that I ask, it seems like you almost not cover up for him, but kind of defend him or have answers to some of these questions.
Because I want you to have more further insight as to why he might do things.
But you saying he's forgetful and
Maddie too. I just want you to understand, like, we're all the same. We're both we're all very forgetful. We're all very time blind. It's just part of our ADHD. I just want you to know, like,
They start talking about garage remotes, and that's what always confused me. I'm like, do they have a garage or not? I don't think they do. Jennifer says she has one, Stefan has one, and she's not sure if her roommates, either of them, have one. But Jennifer keeps hers, the remote, in the car, while sometimes Stefan brings his inside. And they're like, why would he bring it inside? Does that seem normal to you, to bring a garage remote inside? And she's like, no. She said he came back to get the garage clicker. He's a very forgetful guy. I don't know what to think of him anymore. So I don't know why they're calling it a garage clicker. So sounds like they're asking her, so you know your daughter all the way around, right? Like, I think it's redacted. But I think they're trying to say, you know your daughter Maddie through and through, right? Jennifer says, yeah, like resolutely. And they're showing her, obviously, this photo. That's Maddie asleep in the car. You know, she just says it with such conviction. I think they say something like, she's not asleep. And then it's like, what do you mean? She's dead? Is she dead? And the detective is like, I don't know. We don't know where she's at. Jennifer's like, that's an odd way for her to be laying down sleeping. They're like, this is at 7:30 in the morning-ish. And Jennifer's like, that's way too early. And they're like, but you said you thought around 8 o'clock. And then she's like, because I assumed it would be around the time he would be getting her ready for school, that he'd wake me up and take her. Then she's like, it was earlier? She whispered, as if she's just now finding out this info. So the other detective is describing for the audio, for the recording, what's being shown to Jennifer. It's like a video still or whatever that shows the angle through the front window of the car at the townhome complex. So they must have great evidence, and Maddie must be slumped over, The next photo they show her is Maddie in the front seat of Stefan's car. It's taken around 9 o'clock near SeaWorld. Jennifer's like, 9 o'clock in the morning? What the F? Where did he go? They're like, I'm hoping you can tell me. She's like, he went to SeaWorld? And they're like, that's near SeaWorld, International Drive. Does he know anyone up there? Now I'm wondering how close that is to that place. I should look it up and put it on the screen. How close it is to the place, the vacation club place where he moved her body in the trunk. I'm gonna look that up and see. But does he know anyone up there? I don't think so. He doesn't know anyone like that. No friends locally. Is there anywhere he likes to go? The other detective, is asking. Jennifer has him repeat it, like, is there a special place he likes to go? No, nothing I can think of, she says. Then they show her another picture from the dumpster in Venetian Bay of Stefan throwing away trash. So Jennifer's asking what day it is, and they're like, Monday morning around 7:45. So it must show Stefan holding like that white garbage bag or whatever that he had the stuff in. Jennifer asked if they retrieved something, perhaps the bag that Stefan is holding, like, what was that? What was thrown out? And they're like, what do you think it's in there? Like, clothes? I don't know. I can't tell what he's holding. And they're like, look, inside that bag is Maddie's backpack, Maddie's school computer, and one of her Crocs. So Jen starts breathing. You can hear it kind of heavily and deeply. Are you telling me we're looking for a body right now? I just can't get a read on her. I don't know. The detectives are like, I can tell you we're looking for Maddie. Jennifer says, yeah, she's most likely she's not alive. I don't know if she's really being genuine here. You guys can just comment. I should do a poll. I think I will, or something, to figure out. She just sounds shady. I'm trying to give her so many benefits of the doubt because of this PTSD incident she's been through. The detectives say, I don't know. I can't tell you that if we're looking for a body or not. It's almost like he's saying, you tell me. The detective does say, I have a feeling that you and Stefan communicate on some of the places he likes to go because some of the questions that I ask seem like you kind of not cover up for him, but defend him. And Jennifer's like, because I want you guys to understand. The detective is saying, like, you say he's forgetful. Jennifer's like, yeah, I want you to understand, like, we're all the same. We're all very forgetful. We're all very time blind. That's something that's Stefan said too. I'm very time blind. It's part of our ADHD. I just want you to understand. It's like she's blaming a lot of stuff on ADHD.
What kind of grades does she make at school? Not great? What about her attendance record?
She's got a lot of doctor's appointments that we've gone to. So she's got a lot of absences.
Are they excused or unexcused?
I want to say for the most part excused. Every time we take her to a doctor's office, I bring a note.
Do you know that for sure, or we're working on getting her school attendance record? I'm just wondering if you being a parent, I would hope that you would know kind of like what her, because I know my daughter's school,
Plunder,
that if any of them miss one period or 2 periods or something like that, they will call me and say, hey, such and such missed periods 3 or missed period 7 or something like that.
They don't do that. They send out an email and a voicemail, like an automated voicemail, saying your child was absent today from Hunter Street Middle School. But not period 1, 2, 3, and it's not early in the morning like some other states do. It's late in the evening at 5 o'clock, or it's really late.
Totally after the fact.
Yeah, totally after. Like it's.
Have you got a lot of those phone calls of her missing class?
I would say, yeah, I've got a good number of those voicemails and stuff. But I mean, even with excused doctor's notes, I'll still get those phone calls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they miss school. Yeah.
So, yeah, I've gotten a lot of those.
Okay. When you say she doesn't make good grades, what's considered not making good grades?
C and under, C, D, F. she's got an IEP. She struggles with, she's got a few learning disabilities with reading, with mathematics. Her ADHD doesn't help anything at all. She's very spacey, very, like, she could see a squirrel and completely forget. Like, the teachers have told me, like, they'll tell her to do her work and she'll be like, oh, okay, and then see something, completely get sidetracked and then forget. And they're always on top of her. But yeah, she's just, I forgot where I was going with this, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Her grades and attendance.
Yeah. Her grades suffer because of her ADHD for sure. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons she got an IEP is because she's technically 2 years behind with her reading level.
Okay. What grade is she in?
7th.
Okay.
Then they start talking about Maddie's grades. They weren't great. And then Jennifer says she's got a lot of doctor's appointments, a lot of absences. Were they excused or unexcused? Jennifer's like, I want to say excused because she says every time, I take her, I show a note, the doctor's note. The detective is saying, we're still working on getting her school records, but he kind of throws some shade here, like any parent should know if they're involved enough what's going on with their child's attendance. And Jennifer does explain that Hunters Creek Middle School used to only send out like an email or an automated voicemail around 5 p.m. if your child wasn't at school that day. And they don't like specify, they missed first period. Of course, I believe they've changed that now because of Maddie's situation. And they're asking, have you gotten a lot of those voicemails of her missing class? There's a very long pause again. Jennifer says, yeah, I would have gotten a lot of those voicemails because even with the excused absences, she gets the voicemail, so that makes sense. So Maddie's grades were like C and under, C, D, I guess F. She was on an IEP, which is an individualized like learning plan. She's got learning disabilities. Then she starts complaining about her again. Jennifer saying, Maddie could see a squirrel, like, ooh, distracted. The teachers have told me she'll be like, oh, okay, when they tell her to do her work, but then she'll get completely sidetracked and they're always on top of her. I find her words, even though she didn't mean it that way, I'm sure, I find her words very interesting phrases she uses. They're always on top of her, Anyway, as if Jennifer knew someone else was always on top of Maddie. Ironically, Jennifer loses her train of thought right there. She's criticizing Maddie. Oh, she could see squirrel. She's so distracted. And then ironically, Jennifer says, I forgot where I'm going with this. I'm sorry. So Jennifer says Maddie's ADHD really makes her schoolwork suffer. And that's why she got her IEP, because technically she's 2 years behind with her reading level. This poor girl, like what she was suffering and then have to come to school and try and learn, But she said Maddie's in the 7th grade.
And I know we talked last night too, and I just kind of want to reiterate, has she had any changes in her behavior in the past few years?
I'll say yes. But it was all around where puberty hit, and like the typical teenage, the attitude, the sass, the talking back, the disrespect, the pushing boundaries. She was very much doing that. But that calmed down over the last few months. It got even better when Stefan moved out and went to Northport. Maddie and I were actually seeing a therapist together to try to work through our issues because we were having problems communicating. So, yeah.
Has she had any changes in the past few years? Jennifer says, I'll say yes, but it was around when puberty hit. So Maddie's attitude, she calls it the typical teenage sass. She's pushing boundaries. She was very much doing that, Jennifer says, in the past tense, like she was doing that. But listen to this, that calmed down over the last few months. got even better when Stefan moved out and moved to Northport. Like, isn't that a hint and a half for your behind if you didn't know? Oh gee, he's gone, my child's improving so much. Let me call him back to see if he can babysit her or come around her birthday time. Like, if your child's improving and this guy's gone, even if you don't know what had been happening, which is a stretch, why call this demon back into your life? Maddie and I started seeing a therapist together to work through our issues because we were having problems communicating. Yes, I'm sure they were. Maddie was so probably angry at her mother for not protecting her. But it will be interesting to see what this therapist said. Now, I know they have the counseling privilege or whatever, but now that this murder has happened, I'm sure that therapist will have to testify. And did Maddie make any kind of an outcry or hint towards what was happening? That would have been hopefully a safe place for Maddie to speak out. At least I wish it were.
So Stefan, tell me about his, I know you said he likes to play board games and all that stuff. Is he like, what else does he like to do for fun?
He's a collector. He collects.
Play sports or anything like that?
No, he collects games and hobbies. He collects, do you know what Tamagotchis are?
Mm-hmm.
He collects Tamagotchis. He's got so many of those. Digimons, lightsabers.
Does he like to go camping? Does he like to go to the beach or any of that stuff?
No, the beach makes him self-conscious because he doesn't like how his body looks. He calls himself flabby. But, no, he's not an outdoorsy person. He doesn't play sports. He doesn't like the beach. Okay, he used to... Okay, this may be irrelevant. Back a few years ago, I used to own a scooter, an electric scooter, and he owned something called a one wheel, which is like kind of like a scooter but with one big round wheel in the middle. We would take that and ride around. The Kissimmee Trail connects back here, so we'd take that to the Kissimmee Bridge, do that trail over there, come back, or also go into Shingle Creek, cross the street, across Hoagland, go behind an apartment complex, and we end up in Shingle Creek. We would ride all of that and explore all of that wetlands and greenery back there. But we haven't done that in a while. We haven't owned scooters or electronic devices in a few years.
What else does Stefan like to do for fun? Does he like board games or play sports? No, he's a collector. Jennifer says he collects games and hobbies. You know what Tamagotchis are, like Digimons, lightsabers. Some of this stuff, I only know it because it's the kind of stuff that kids are attracted to, you know? Does he like camping or the beach? You know, no, he's self-conscious at the beach. Stefan doesn't like how his body looks. He calls himself flabby. Jennifer says he's not an outdoor person. He doesn't play sports. He doesn't like the beach because of his body. But she goes, this may be relevant. She starts talking about they used to have some kind of scooters or something and some kind of one big wheel. And they used to ride around Kissimmee. They would take it to the Kissimmee Bridge and ride around there and come back. Or they would explore the Shingle Creek wetlands and come back. These parts she does remind me of Nicole Kessinger or other people who try and get in with the detectives like, let me help you out. This might be relevant to your case. She kind of adopts that more and more like, I'm one of you bros. Let me help you. Let's figure this out. So she's like, I don't know if she's saying, did Stefan put Maddie in the wetlands somewhere? And I gotta see how far some of these places are because she's gonna mention Hickory Road. Oh no, that's Harmony Road. She mentions Harmony Road, not Hickory Road. I was mixing those two up and I thought she had actually mentioned Hickory Road. But anyway, she says they haven't done the scooters in a while. They haven't owned scooters or electronic devices in years.
Tell me about, you said there was an apartment in Northport.
Yeah.
Is that Stefan's mom's?
No.
Dad's? Or you guys had a separate apartment?
We rented our own separate apartment.
Okay, where was that? Obviously Northport, but do you remember the complex name?
Let me see.
And how long ago was that?
This was back in 2020.
Okay.
I don't remember the month we moved in, but we moved out in November of 2020. We were there somewhere between 6 to 8 months.
Okay.
Let me see if I have there.
Was it just you three there?
Yes, it was just the three of us.
Okay. Is Northport... I've never been there. Is it a big city, small city?
Oh, I'm sorry. So the apartment we used to live in is in the town next door over. It's called Port Charlotte, Florida.
Okay.
That's a small town. Northport, even smaller, I would say. But Northport being more popular because it's attached to Sarasota County, so it has more people living in it. Charlotte County is pretty small.
Is it rural?
I mean, there was a city center, and there was a Tamiami Trail ran through it.
Okay.
So, major road, lots of businesses, lots of shops. So, no, I mean, it's out in the middle of nowhere, but...
Fun fact is, Northport is the third largest city in the state of Florida, square miles wise.
Yeah, it's big. The name of the apartment complex I used to live in is called Charleston K.
Does it still exist today? Is that still what it's called?
I'm not sure. I can Google.
And you don't know him to still own it or rent it?
No, because it was under my name. The apartment
was under your name?
Yeah, and I'm the one who gave up the lease.
Okay.
As far as I know, it still exists.
Oh, Charleston K, like that. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
And you guys, so you were in that apartment for roughly 6 to 8 months, you said, right?
Yes.
Did you live in Port Charlotte or Northport for longer?
No, we immediately...
Only that time?
Only that time, we moved right back.
Okay. And what would you guys typically do around there?
We did absolutely nothing. It was during quarantine time, so we were very afraid of COVID. Very afraid of going to the store and doing anything. We stayed home, watched movies, watched a lot of Netflix, played a lot of board games.
Okay.
But that was about it. We didn't... sometimes we'd go to the beach, Venice Beach.
Yep.
But that's about it. We didn't really go anywhere.
Not much stuff outdoors? During that time frame?
No, just Venice Beach.
Okay.
So they want to know more about this Northport apartment or whatever Jen and Stefan and Maddie used to live in. Was that Stefan's mom and dad's? Jennifer says, no, we rented our own separate apartment. They're trying to figure out the apartment complex name. Jennifer's looking. She says we moved out in November 2020. I don't remember when we moved in. They were only there like 6 to 8 months. It was only the three of them. And she says, oh, sorry, the town we lived in was just over from Northport. It's called Port Charlotte, Florida. It's a small town. Northport is even smaller, she'd say. Northport, I think Jennifer's talking about being in Sarasota County, and Charlotte County is pretty small. It's in the middle of nowhere with main roads that ran through it. There's shops and whatever. Fun fact, the detective says Northport is the third largest city in the state of Florida in square miles. I think Jacksonville used to be number 1. I wonder if that's still true. Just in terms of area, I guess he's saying. Yeah. Jennifer doesn't sound pretty impressed by his fun fact. She goes, the name of the apartment complex I used to live in is called Charleston K. Does it still exist today? Jennifer wasn't sure. Do you know him to own it or rent it? No, because it was under my name. Jennifer says Jennifer took it under her name. She said we did absolutely nothing, because it was 2020, the time of Rona, basically. We were afraid of going to the store and all that. They stayed home, played a lot of board games, watched a lot of Netflix. Sometimes we go to the beach, Venice Beach, and indeed, we've seen photos from Jennifer's Instagram of them at the beach.
When did you realize that he went to Northport recently?
When one of the officers told me.
Okay, so what night was that?
Last night.
So they told you last night, or he went last night?
They told me last night that he had went earlier that morning to Northport with my car.
Okay. Were you guys staying at the hotel together?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you not notice him gone? Did you sleep through it?
I slept through it. I went to sleep around 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
And I did not wake up until 9. And that's when I noticed he was gone. And I called Stefan's dad, Chris, who was in the same hotel. And I said, hey, is Stefan with you? He goes, no, he's not with you. And I'm like, no, he must have left and my car keys are gone. He's like, oh. I'm just like, maybe he ran out to get some food, or maybe he ran out to get something, or to Target. And he's like, okay, we'll just give him a little bit to wait.
Why didn't you call him directly?
Stefan?
Mm-hmm. You have a phone?
I don't think he had a phone.
Okay.
And I think his dad eventually did give him a phone for him to use, but that was later that morning, and I was never given that phone number either, so I never had a way to contact him.
Okay. Why do you think he would go
Plunder,
there?
true crime audio.
I was told he went into a storage unit. I have no freaking clue what he would be getting in a storage unit or hiding.
Do you know about the storage unit?
I have heard of the storage unit. I've always known Chris or his parents to always have storage units. They own a lot of shit. They're kind of a little bit like hoarders, but they own a lot of stuff. They have, I think, a few storage units, or they did. I think they may have condensed down to just one, maybe. But yeah, I've always known them to have storage units.
Okay. And if you were to leave from Kissimmee, what way would I go to get to Northport or Port Charlotte?
I-4 down to 75 to exit 179, I think, Toledo Blade Road.
Toledo Blade?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they live pretty close right off the highway.
Did you see him when he got back eventually?
Yes.
Did you ask him?
Yeah, where the fuck he was. I'm like, an officer's coming right now to interview us. Where the fuck have you been? This would have looked terrible if you weren't there. And he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I went out to go get some food and I found a Wawa and then I got turned around and I got lost and then I made it my way back here. And we're like, oh, okay. Not fucking thinking anything other than just believing him. I feel like so stupid because I don't know how long he's probably been lying to me about the stupidest shit for the longest time. Like,
So he said he went out to get food.
Yeah. And he came back with he had a cup of from Wawa. He was drinking a drink.
Do you remember what time he got back?
Like 11:15 a.m.
Okay, so you were up around 9ish, you just told me?
Yeah.
So from the time you were up by the time you got back, roughly 2 hours.
Yeah.
Okay, and he came back with a Wawa cup.
Yeah.
That was it?
Yeah.
And so during that time frame, he told you he's been lost, got turned around, essentially.
Yeah. And he had no way.
For 2 hours.
Yeah, he didn't have a phone. He didn't know how to get back to the hotel room. That's obviously bullshit.
Did
you tell him that?
No. But no, I'm speaking as from what I know right now. That's obviously bullshit. From what I was told by one of you guys, or from what I kind of calculated, he must have left the house. In order for him to make this round trip to Northport and make it back by 11, he must have left 5 to 6 hours ago. So I'm just like, that makes it like 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, I don't know, something like that. I'm just like, so he waited for me to fall asleep and then he left.
And you said you went to bed around what time?
3:30, 4 o'clock.
100%.
He waited for me to fall asleep and he fucking left.
Okay, I get that part. Are you 100% that you went to sleep around that time?
Oh, that's what you're asking me. I thought you were confirming me like 100% that's what he's doing. Trying to see if there's any way I can like I saw the clock saying 3:30 when I got up to go to the bathroom. I was in the bathroom for a little while and then I came back.
And he was there?
He was there and he was asleep. So I went to bed around that time. I was in the bathroom for, I'm gonna say 10 to 15 minutes. I had terrible dinner and it just was not okay. But when I got out, he was awake. Or he was asleep, I'm sorry. He actually mentioned, oh man, I woke up really early this morning. Around 4. And he mentioned waking up around 4-ish because he had really bad diarrhea and used the restroom. He mentioned that the following day.
And just so I'm on the same thought process, and what day were you guys in the hotel?
What day were we in the hotel?
Would that have been Tuesday night?
Let me see. Really late Tuesday night, so I think it was technically Wednesday morning when we checked into the hotel. It was really early. But yeah, Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning.
Plunder, true crime audio.
Okay.
So, when did you realize he went to Northport recently? She goes, when the officers told me. They told me last night. It's Thursday when they're talking to her, so the officers just told her Wednesday night. Were you guys staying together? Yes. And then she's like, did you not notice he was gone? Here we go again. Jennifer, I slept through it. Jennifer went to sleep around 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the morning, Wednesday. That would have been the 28th. And I didn't wake up until 9. And that's when I noticed he was gone, and I called Stefan's dad, Chris, who was in the same hotel. So Jen called Chris. She was like, is Stefan with you? And he's like, no, he's not with you. And Jen said, no, and my keys are gone. So why didn't you call him? Jennifer says, well, I knew Stefan didn't have a phone. I think his dad gave him the phone. His dad does talk about giving him that burner phone or temporary phone, whatever, later. But she says, I wasn't given that phone number either. I didn't have a way to contact him. So why do you think he would go there? And Jennifer says, I was told he went into the storage unit. Why the F would he go to the storage unit? So Jennifer explains that Stefan's parents were kind of like hoarders. She's always known them to have storage units. They had a lot of stuff, but I think they've condensed it down to one storage unit. So the detective asked, if I were to leave from Kissimmee to go to Northport or Port Charlotte, what way would I go? Jennifer says, immediately, like take I-4 down to 75 to exit 179, Toledo Blade Road. They live pretty close off the highway. Jennifer claims she gave Stefan the business, when he got back to the hotel, like, what the F? An officer's coming to question us, interview us. That would have looked terrible if you were gone. Stefan said, I'm so sorry. I got lost and turned around. So they're calling her on it. They're like, he was gone 2 hours, just lost. Stefan is like, I found a Wawa, one of those convenience stores. And she's just like, what? Where the F have you been? I feel so stupid. He's probably been lying to me about the stupidest ish for so long. He said he went out to get food. He had a cup from Wawa. So they're like, okay, Stearns got back around 11:15. Jen had gotten up about 9:15. He tells you he's been lost for 2 hours. He didn't have a phone. Yeah, he didn't know how to get back to the hotel room. That's obviously BS, she says. They're like, did you tell him that? No, I'm speaking from now what I know. It's obviously BS. In order for him to make this 5-hour round trip to Northport, he must have left the hotel room around 4 a.m. or whatever. He waited for me to fall asleep and then he effing left, she says. Like she's turning it around, like I'm really mad at him or something. And the cop is saying 100%, like he's asking her, are you 100% sure, you went to sleep around 3:30 or 4? And Jennifer's thinking he's saying, yeah, hundo, like 100% girl. And like she gets it all wrong. She thinks he's confirming, yeah, 100%, And she goes, oh no, I saw the clock say 3:30 when she went to the bathroom. She was in the bathroom a little while. When she came out of the bathroom, he was there. Stefan was there. He was asleep. Jennifer said she was in the bathroom about 10 or 15 minutes. She had a terrible dinner and was not okay. And she said Stefan actually mentioned he had woke up around 4-ish really early that morning because he had really bad diarrhea. He mentioned that the following day, Jennifer says, but obviously Stefan was in jail the following day. Perhaps she meant Wednesday is when he told her that. Okay, we're getting down to the wire here.
I want to divert a little bit with Maddie. did she disclose to you about her... Has she had a period yet? Do you know?
Yeah.
Did she disclose to you about that?
Yes.
So do you know her regular
Cycle? I usually put it... She usually tells me when she gets it, and we put it in an app. I must have missed it this month, or she must have not told me this month when she got it, but I have it written down when she got it back in January.
When should she have had it this month, roughly?
The beginning of the month. She got it in January 1st, so it should have been around the end of February.
First January, 1st of February?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And was she pretty consistent on telling you?
Yeah, she would tell me when she would get her period, and then she'd actually also tell me every time she used the restroom, like, Mom, success, I pooped. And I'm like, cool, because she's got GI issues.
And she didn't tell you about this last cycle?
No.
Do you find that odd?
Yes. Now that you're bringing it up, yes.
Would there be obvious signs when she's on her cycle? As far as like certain products she might use?
Yeah, her pads. The pads she would use. I would get her a box about every 2 cycles or so, because the one box would last her 2 cycles. She would typically complain of her breast hurting, having terrible cramps, but
Plunder, true crime audio.
You didn't hear any of that? Okay.
But you said she's been consistent every month telling you about her period?
She's been late a few times, and she's told me, or sometimes her period has lasted way longer than normal. I'll call it irregular, because mine was irregular when I was younger too, so I just assumed just her body working through it, trying to regulate itself.
Do you find it odd that it would be a month late?
Yeah. Those images you guys showed me with the car, is there any more?
I mean, none that I can show you right now, but yes, there's quite a few.
But we don't see where he ends up going in the car.
Where do you think he would go?
I have no idea. If I knew, I would tell you.
So they wanted to divert a little bit. They want to talk about, Maddie. It's redacted. You hear Jennifer saying something like, no. The detective is asking, never? And she's like, no. They talk about Maddie has started her period. Jennifer says she usually tells me, and we put it in an app. And she goes, I must have missed it this month. And then she corrects herself. Oh, she must not have told me when she got it this month, putting it on Maddie. So Maddie should have gotten her period February 1st. Jennifer flips around and she's diverting a bit here too. They're asking her, since Maddie got her period January 1st, when should she have gotten it next? But Jennifer doesn't say like, oh, February 1st again. She says something like the end of February, a time when Maddie obviously wasn't alive. So they're correcting her like the beginning of February, you mean? And then Jennifer is diverting again. She goes, yeah, she tells me, oh, when she gets her period, but also she tells me when she goes to the bathroom, like, Mom, success, I pooped. And Jennifer's like, I'm like, cool, congratulations. They're not talking about pooping right now. They're focused on the period. So she didn't tell you about this last cycle? Jennifer says, no, kind of quietly. Did you find that odd? Yes, now that you bring it up. So that's real quiet. But they're like, were there obvious signs when she's on her cycle? Jennifer says, yeah, like pads, like she would use one box. Jennifer would get Maddie one box that would last for 2 cycles. And she would typically complain of her breast hurting or having terrible cramps, but I didn't hear any of that this month. Typically breast pain, some women might have that, but typically that can happen during pregnancy, tenderness, but cramps, of course, during your cycle. The detectives are like, she's told you, she was consistent about telling you every month. And Jennifer's like, well, she's been late a few times, or it's lasted a really long time. It can be an irregular period, she says, because mine was really irregular when I was younger too. I just assume her body was working through it, just trying to regulate herself. They're like, did you find it odd that it would be a month late? Jennifer quietly says yes. So it's different from what it says in that big long interview from her friend, where her friend made it sound like Maddie's period was only 2 weeks late, and they're saying it was a month late. It's not clear what's going on, but we know why they're asking about menstrual cycles. They're asking because, of course, they want to find out about pregnancy fears or possibilities, and they want to know if that's Stefan's motive. So there's this big long quiet space, and Jennifer changes the subject. Those images you guys showed me of the car, is there any more? She doesn't want to talk about Maddie's period anymore. Quite a few more, the detective says, but none we can show you. Jennifer says, yeah, but we don't end up seeing, like Stefan, where the car goes, where he goes. Now, Jennifer is placing herself as, Miss Detective Soto, as one of the detectives trying to figure out, okay, where did my boyfriend take my daughter? We're all in this together, Where did you think he went? They ask her. I have no idea. If I knew, I would tell you, Jennifer says, sounding upset again.
What general direction did you say he headed in?
He's all over the place. I don't want you to take this the wrong way, but this is just... We've been doing this job a very long time, as you can tell with all the gray in my beard. Your emotion when I told you you broke down like that. Do you remember that? Like instantly crying. But when you talk about her possibly missing, or God forbid deceased, that emotion changed.
What do you mean by changed?
So when I told you you broke down and started crying, okay, but then when I showed you the pictures and said that she may not be asleep in those pictures, your emotion just changed.
I don't want to believe it. In my heart, I know you're showing me what you're showing me, and you're telling me he threw away her backpack. And I want to assume the worst. I don't want to assume the worst. I want to assume that she's still alive, that she's out there, that he's hidden her somewhere. But with what you're showing me, it feels like we're looking for a body. I'm just in shock. I don't want to believe that she's dead in those images you showed me. She doesn't look like she's sleeping. Who sleeps? When you sleep in a car, you sleep with your head on the door. Her head was over here, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you want me to say or do, or just want my daughter back.
And this is exactly what I was just talking about. We are literally having a conversation right now about Maddie possibly being dead.
Yeah.
And you have yet to shed a tear. But when I mentioned to you that you were crying violently almost. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Because that was physical proof. That was proof of what was happening. That destroyed me. Until that picture of her asleep or not asleep in the car is not proof to me until I see a body. I have hope that she's still alive. But I don't know. With what you're telling me, I'm starting to fucking doubt everything. But I can't tell you why I broke down over one, and I'm being really serious now.
What general direction did you say he headed in? And they're like, look, Jennifer, he's all over the place. The detective is like not trying to give up what they know. Jennifer's like asking these questions as if she wants to know what they know, not necessarily as if she's trying to be helpful. The detective tells her not to take this the wrong way, but they've been doing this a long time, as witnessed by his gray hair. And even though this part has a lot of redactions, I think he's calling out Jennifer on the fact that Jennifer broke down over seeing the photos of Stefan abusing Maddie. She didn't have the same level of upset and emotions when they showed her photos of Maddie potentially dead in the car. You know, Jennifer was pretty even killed then. Like, is she dead? He's like, your emotions changed when you saw those pictures of Maddie in the car. Jennifer's like, well, I don't want to assume the worst. I just want to think she's out there hidden somewhere, but from what you guys are showing me, it's like we're looking for a body. It's like I'm in shock. She doesn't look like she's sleeping. So Jennifer sounds like she's trying to manufacture some emotions right now. Reminds me of Chris Watts. CBI agent Tammy Lee was like, you haven't shed a tear. And then Chris Watts starts going, he starts sniffing then. But anyway, Jennifer should have displayed emotions like this earlier when looking at the photos of Maddie in the car. Jennifer's trying to show object lessons of what it looks like when you sleep in a car, because she's like, yeah, because when you sleep in a car, you sleep over here, right? And it's as if she's laying on the window or something, laying on Jesus. But anyway, she's like, no. Then Jennifer says, no, she's over here. I wish we could see the video. I don't think there's a video. I don't know what you want me to say or do. I just want my daughter back. The detective is like, this is exactly what I'm talking about. He's like, when I mentioned Maddie possibly being dead in the car, basically you haven't shed a tear. But when I mentioned Stefan's abuse of Maddie, I assume he's saying it's cut out. You were crying violently. She's like, yeah, because that's physical proof, you know, of the abuse photos, I guess. But the photos of Maddie asleep or not asleep in the car, that's not proof until she sees a body. She's like, I've hope she's still alive, but now I'm starting to effing doubt everything with what you're saying. I can't tell you why I broke down over one and being serious now.
So here's what's going to happen. Starting tomorrow, it's already started, but tomorrow there's going to be information being released between our department and Orange County's Sheriff's Office, is that now this entire investigation is the Kissimmee Police Department's investigation.
True crime
I think I told you that last night.
Yeah.
Okay. Right now, we are probably going to start working this case as a homicide.
Okay.
Because he's in jail right now for... Okay? He's in jail for that. But we believe he possibly has done something to Maddie. And we want to know where he would possibly go. Now, this is going to be a very difficult situation. But do you have any knowledge of what he has done with her?
I wish I could tell you, but I don't. I have no idea. I wish I knew. I wish I knew I would tell you. Having it be switched to homicide makes it official for me. Is there any more images you could show me?
Not at this time, no.
And he threw away her backpack. That was her backpack in that bag. How long does somebody go to jail for this? Please tell me. It's so much.
If he did something to her that led in her death, yeah, he's going to prison for life. He's probably going to prison for life.
So, like, multiple life sentences, fine. Fuck him. Oh my god.
Has he tried reaching out to you from jail?
No.
Has he tried reaching out to anybody from jail?
I don't know. I talked to his dad earlier, but he didn't share much information. I don't even. Did I ask him? I can't recall if I asked him if he's reached out to him. I don't remember his conversation this morning. Sorry.
Everything else?
So they tell her we're going to start working this case as a homicide, and she's like, okay, that's it. Stefan is in jail right now for assaulting Maddie, but basically they are believing he did something worse. Do you have any idea where he would take her? Jennifer says, I have no idea, very quietly. I wish I knew, I would tell you. Having something makes it official for me, Jen says, but she's crying or pretending to cry. It's hard to hear. Maybe she says something like having them search the house makes it official, and she wants to see any more pictures. Are there any more pictures you can show me? Not at this time, no. And he threw away her something. Jennifer's weeping, like, I don't know, her stuff. Then she goes, how long does somebody go to jail for this? Please tell me, it's so much. You know, the detectives are probably saying prison for life, and she's like, so like multiple life sentences? Fine, F him, OMG, crying. Has he reached out to you? No, she says. Has he tried to reach out to anybody? I don't know. I talked to his dad earlier, but he didn't share much information. Then she's like, Jennifer's like, did I ask him? I can't recall if I've asked him if he's reached out to. I don't remember the conversation this morning. Sorry. Once again, I think Jennifer is lying here, because when we listened to that interview of Chris and Deborah Stearns, it was around sometime in here when Chris said Jennifer was demanding that he get Stefan a lawyer. So she was like trying to defend him.
All right, we are going to check on the progress that they're making inside real quick.
Did he tell you where she's at?
No. I haven't spoken to, like, since when? Like, in the hotel?
Anytime.
No, never. Like,
we need to find her.
I know. I wish I knew where to tell you guys to look. I fucking wish. Like, could you show me, like, a map of where around town he was so I could point out maybe this, maybe this, maybe this?
There's too many places.
Has he ever talked about giving Maddie medication? Like any of his medication?
I don't think so, no.
You don't think so, or?
No.
Okay. Have you ever given her any of your medication?
She's got her own anxiety medication.
Do you double check her medication?
When we give it to her? Yeah. I make sure I grab the bottle or she grabs the bottle, but like somebody's got eyes on her, grabbing the pills and taking them. Like, it's a tag team situation. She's not allowed to take them alone. So we just make sure that we watch her, because I don't want her to accidentally grab the wrong bottle and accidentally take Adderall before bed, because that sounds like a terrible idea.
How long have you guys lived in Osceola County?
On and off for 12 years.
What about Stefan?
On and off for 6.
Okay. Would you say he's pretty familiar with Osceola County? Does he venture off?
No. I know he'll visit he likes to visit gaming shops and like board game shops. Does he drive around aimlessly just to kill? I mean, just to drive? I don't think so. I think he goes out with plans.
Okay. Does he have close friends that live here?
In Central Florida, no.
No?
Mm-mm. The majority of his friends are in Northport, Florida.
Northport?
Mm-hmm.
Is he good with cars?
Is he good with cars?
Like, what do you know how to change the oil, change a tire?
I mean, supposedly he said he changed the tire on Monday and hurt himself. So I don't know how good that makes you if you hurt yourself. But yeah.
A detective, a last-ditch effort, he's like, did he tell you where she's at? That's what a different detective quietly is asking Jennifer. He's just trying to get that info out of her. We need to find her. Jennifer says, I know, I wish I could tell you where to look. I effing wish, she says. Could you show me like a map of where he was so I could point out maybe this, maybe this, maybe this? And basically they're like, no, we can't give you that info. She's just trying to glean info. Has he ever talked about giving Maddie any of his medication? I don't think so. Have you ever given her any of your meds? She's got her own meds, Jennifer says, claiming they look at the bottle. They're so, astute and careful. Somebody always has eyes on her. She's not allowed to take it alone. But then in a different interview, she did say Maddie was allowed to take certain meds alone by herself. I don't want her to grab the wrong bottle, Jennifer says, and accidentally take Adderall before bed. That sounds like a terrible idea. So they're asking how long they've lived in Osceola County. Jennifer says something like on and off for 12 years. I can't hear. There's paper making noise. But then how long has Stefan lived? On and off for about 6 years. Is he pretty familiar with Osceola County? Does he venture off? Jennifer says no, he'll visit gaming shops. She says, does he drive around aimlessly just to kill? Oh, she stops herself. Just to drive around? I don't think so. I think he goes out with plans. When Jennifer is asked if Stefan has close friends around here, she answers so lowly it's hard to hear. I think she says no, because most of the majority of his friends are in Northport. Is he good with cars? Supposedly he said he changed a tire on Monday and hurt himself, so I wouldn't say, I don't know how good that makes you if he hurt himself. Jennifer laughs. I was just like, okay, she's laughing now.
Question. Mm-hmm. The vehicle that you guys towed, that was his? Did it have a donut on the car?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Do you not know his car?
No, I do know his car. I just don't remember if I ever actually saw the donut or not. I never came to inspect the car. So I was wondering, was that true? Was that part of the story true? Did he actually get a flat tire?
Who is in St. Cloud?
I don't. Only I know people
Plunder,
in St. Cloud.
True crime
and he doesn't know
audio.
where they live.
Does he know those same people?
He's met them before and talked to them before when they've come over here.
Okay. Where do they live in St. Cloud?
Off of Old Canoe Creek Road. Do you want me to get you an address?
Sure.
Has he ever went with you to go see him?
No.
Never.
No. I've never even gone to her house like that to hang out. She always comes to my house. So they know each other. She lives in St. Cloud, but we've never gone to St. Cloud together with her to her house.
And how do you know her? She work with you?
Yeah, she's an old coworker from 14, 15 years ago.
From Disney?
No, we used to work at a pizzeria. That was when I was a lot younger.
Are you texting her?
Would you like me to call her or would you like to text?
No, I thought you were just gonna pull it up. It's off of Old Canoe Creek.
Yeah, I don't know her exact. I don't know the exact street or address or. I want to say it's actually. Hold on. If I pull up a map. So she lives off of this road right here, Nolte Road in St. Cloud.
Mm-hmm.
Nolte. That's 192 right there. There's Old Canoe Creek, Nolte. She lives around there.
Would you be able to point it to me?
To which house? No.
Not the specific house, but like, is it in a neighborhood? Does she have her own land?
It is in a neighborhood. I don't remember where though. I don't know how far down. I have to drive down Nolte.
Are you familiar with Nolte?
No. No. I think I've only dropped her off at her house once.
Drop Maddie off there?
No. My friend.
Oh, your friend. Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm
You
not
want
sure.
to text the address?
Yeah, let me text.
Yeah. And what was her name?
Michelle
Michelle.
Mason. Masson.
2 S's?
Yeah. The thing is, I don't think Stefan would know where she lives, but
Plunder, true crime
No, I'm not saying
audio.
that he did, but I'm just trying to see who you would know in St. Cloud.
okay.
That's all.
Yeah, that's pretty much the only person. There might be somebody else that lives like closer to Harmony, but that's the only people I'd know.
What does it say?
Michelle Mason, right? Is that how you pronounce it?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
What part of Nolte was it on?
I'm about to look it up. That is so
Stevens Plantation.
Stevens Plantation. And it is gonna be, I don't know what neighborhood that is.
Plunder,
But if you go
true
on
crime
Burr-
audio.
Berry Place.
Okay. Yep, know where it's at. right, well, we're going to check, see how they're going on inside. Like what we did last night, do you swear and affirm everything that you've told us today is to the best of your knowledge will help you God?
Yes.
Okay. All right, we're going to conclude this interview. It is 6:35 p.m.
She has a question. Question, the vehicle you guys towed, that was his. Did it have a donut on the car? And they're like, yes. Don't you know his car? And she's like, yeah, but I don't remember if I saw the donut or not. I didn't inspect the car. Did he actually have a flat tire? She's trying to figure out what's truth or what's not, or she's just trying to figure out how much the cops know. They are already hip to St. Cloud. That's the area where Stefan left her body. They're like, who is in St. Cloud? So she only knows people in St. Cloud, and she's like, he doesn't know where they live. Just like she said, oh, Maddie doesn't know where her friends live. But Jennifer says Stefan knows these people because he's met them before. And Jennifer's talking about some friend she has who lives in St. Cloud off of some Old Creek Road. But Jennifer never goes to her house, neither does Stefan. The woman only comes to their house. She's an old co-worker from 14 or 15 years ago. Jennifer's like, when I was much younger, she used to work with her at a pizzeria. Do you want me to call or text her? And the detective is like, oh, I thought you were just pulling up her address or whatever. Jennifer didn't know the exact address, but it sounds like they say something like Old Mill Creek or something. She lives off of this Nolte Road in St. Cloud. So Jennifer's only dropped her friend off once there on Nolte, like once or whatever. Jennifer gives them her friend's name, says, I don't think Stefan would know where she lives. And they're like, we're just trying to see who you know in St. Cloud. The detective says, and Jennifer says, there might be someone else who lives closer to Harmony. This is where I was thinking Old Hickory Road off of near where Maddie's remains were found. They spend a good deal of time trying to figure this out, where the area is, and then they end the interview at 6:35. And I'm going to end this video now so I can get it all edited. Mark 11:25. But when you are praying, first forgive anyone you are holding a grudge against, so that your Father in heaven will forgive your sins too. That's what God had my eyes fall right on that passage today in prison ministry. So it's like, don't hold any grudges, forgive, go be free in Jesus' name. Thank you for listening to all of this. So this is this one. The next one I plan to get done is us analyzing the 40-minute interview from March 1st. I think they were all kind of surreptitiously maybe recorded, and any others we get, because I don't know if they'll release those ones when they're like in there showing her the photos, and of course we want those blurred or blacked out or whatever, but just to see her reactions. And I want to see when Jennifer says the sex stuff is not evil. We will see. Take care. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. I appreciate you all.